Bangladesh were bowled out for 209 from 47.2 overs. It was a bit of a middling effort in the end. There was good partnerships in the middle, but Shanto scored his highest ever score for Bangladesh with 58. But there were regular wickets. All the England bowlers, in fact, ended up taking wickets. It was the pace bowlers that seemed to bother the Bangladeshis early on, and then it was the spinners who got on top. Will Jacks took a wicket as well.
In again, and that is lifted by Lytton Das high into the stand on the leg side. Wokes only strayed a little onto the leg side, but he was on it so quickly. And we have our first maximum of the match.
Mark Wood past the umper, and he's collected some stumps. And Mark Wood has a wicket. Third ball, Bangladesh 51 for 2.
This ball is outside off stump at the top edge for the sweep, and it should be an easy catch. Wish we could go on for 17 off 34. That's a big wicket.
Moral victory, but that will be a very short-lived moral victory because Moeen Ali has just bowled Shakib for 8. Superb bowling from Moeen Ali.
Here he is, 49 not out, facing Archer, and he gets one round about the thigh pad, turns it to long leg, and takes a single to go to 50 for the first time in one-day international cricket. Well played, Najmal Hussain Shanto. He raises his bat.
Short and out. Caught it mid-wicket. Beautiful by Jason Roy. It was a pull shot by Shanto. He can't believe it.
And that is Hoyt straight to the fielder. Cannot quite believe what he has done, Afif. It wasn't the prettiest shot, but he just slapped it straight to mid-on. He has to go for 9. In again, and there's an edge, and there's a take. And Jos Buttler, it was almost in slow motion. The prod came out from the batter, Mahidi. The edge came, and Jos Buttler almost fell over to take the catch to his right. And that is swung away with venom for a maximum into the crowd, who, as you can hear, have something finally to cheer about. And Taskin taking full advantage of that life that Hawkeye has given him.
Moeen Ali goes in. Taja comes down the pitch, slogs at it, but it's hit it straight up in the air. Who wants it? Moeen Ali for the court and bowled, and Bangladesh are all out. 209 all out in the 48th over.
Welcome back, and now we can see what the England batting lineup is made up. We've seen the bowlers, and boy did they do a good job across the board. We had Archer, Wood, Moeen and Rashid all taking 2 wickets each. Will Jacks on his debut took 1. Chris Wokes, who bowled superbly, took a wicket as well. So yeah, England in very good shape. Now we see, as I say, how the batsmen get on. And Abby, it's going to be interesting to see how Jason Roy gets on. There's a bit of pressure on him ahead of the World Cup later this year.
There's a bit of an issue for him against spinners when the ball is not turning. And I mean, with the new ball, some will turn, some will go straight with the arm. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he bats against them.
And he's got Phil Salt alongside him, so we shouldn't have a very slow start if these two get going. It should be a fairly brisk occasion. Shakib Al Hassan, slow left arm, so we're going with the spin option to start with, which is probably quite clever.
One will spin, one will skid tack.
So rather than going straight in with pace, which they know Jason Roy and Phil Salt will enjoy, there's a bit of spin as Ryan Tenderskata comes to join me, and it is driven back to the bowler, who fields nicely. For a horrible moment or two I thought it was actually up in the air, but I think Jason Roy had played it nicely into the ground. Yes, he had, and in fact it was a pretty good take by Shakib. And he's bowled again, and there's a bit of turn, and it goes past the outside of Jason Roy's bat. He looks completely unconcerned and carries on chewing his chewing gum, and looking as relaxed as possible as Shakib. In again, bowling left arm round the wicket to the right-handed Jason Roy, who plays this carefully up to mid-on, where Tamim does the fielding, and there is no run. And Ryan, a decent idea this to start with spin from Bangladesh.
Yeah, just off air I was saying I think the power play will know where this game's going after the power play, and Bangladesh feel they need to get wickets. Obviously they do, and they feel Shakib, particularly to Jay Roy, is a good option.
And that was a lovely shot from Jason Roy. He picked it late and he has just cut it backward of point for 4 runs, but beautiful timing from Roy. As I say, he played it very late and has made sure that England are off the mark in the best possible style, with a delightful touch in that boundary to take England to 4 without loss. Remember, they require 210 for victory. So Shakib in once again, and Jason Roy punches that off the back foot to cover, but there is no run on this occasion. But we're getting a replay of that lovely late dab past the point fielder, backward point fielder, and this time Roy comes down the wicket. Now he's hit it up in the air. Has he got distance on it? No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. Tamim takes the catch, and the ploy of Bangladesh to go with spin early on has paid off. Shakib has taken a wicket. Jay Roy goes for 4, and England are 4 for 1.
Yeah, Shakib obviously assessing quickly and no pace on the ball, and he hasn't quite got to the pitch that it probably just sits in the wicket. I'd imagine that's around about 75 k's an hour, and just chips it straight up in there. Easy catch for the captain, Tamim Iqbal. And Jason Roy, apart from that 100 in South Africa, that brilliant 100 in South Africa, his string of low scores continues. And you said he looked relaxed and chewing his chewing gum. He must be feeling the pressure. I think the congestion of batting options in the England side, he must be someone who's looking over his shoulder now.
Well, when you look at the likes of Bairstow come in and open the batting, there's Harry Brook floating around. There are plenty of options. As it is, Dawood Malan is coming out at number 3, a position he has made pretty much his own in white ball cricket recently. But that was... You could see why possibly Jason Roy was tempted to come down the wicket and try and knock the bowler off his length and line, but he didn't get to the pitch. The ball went straight up in the air, and in the end it was a comfortable catch. So chasing that 210 after 1 over, England are 4 for 1 here on TalkSport 2. And Dawood Malan has come out now to join Philip Salt, and Salt will be facing.
It wasn't a bad option, Guy. Shakib's modus operandi is that slow ball that holds, and then he generally slides one on. So he probably had that in the back of his mind. He just didn't get to the pitch of the ball. And I always say, when you're going down the wicket, it's fine to premeditate, but you need to have a second option. If you're not getting to the pitch of the ball, or it's not quite there to hit, you have to be able to bail out. He's obviously gone through with that, which is probably indicative of a lack of form. Someone who's low on confidence and looking to feel the ball on the bat.
Well, there will be pace from the other end. Taskin Ahmed will be bowling. Phil Salt does some gardening, just tries to get Dawood Malan's attention to have a quick chat, which he does eventually, and Malan goes up and also pokes down at the wicket. But Taskin will now coming in to bowl. Salt finally takes his guard. Bat held high. No, he stops the process. There is something going on that Phil Salt is trying to bring the attention of.
I think he wants his watch taken off.
Was the watch flashing in the sun?
Yeah.
Well, we can now bowl. We won't be able to tell the time, but we will know what the score is as Taskin comes in again, and it's a nice delivery to start. It's full, right arm over the wicket and shaping in nicely to middle stump, but Salt did nicely to dig it out. And
that wicket will alter the psychology or mentality. I'm sure the plan is to go after the bowlers to get out of the power play quickly. But losing the wicket in the first over, I still think Salt will take it on. I think it's the best opportunity to score runs with the new ball before the spin really comes into effect through the middle. This is going to be a little interesting power of play now.
Well, let's see how Phil Salt gets on, looking to cement his place really in the side. Oh, and there's a lovely delivery. It rips through Salt. It really was quick and climbed off a length, in fact, to such a height that the wicketkeeper couldn't take it. Just as well that didn't take an edge on the way through, but an absolute ripper through past the outside edge. And in fact, the keeper did quite well to stop it going over his head for bonus runs for England. But what a ball that was. Huge smiles from the Bangladeshi team, who have now put in a slip on the strength of that particular delivery, and you can see why, as Taskin comes in once again, and Salt just plays a defensive shot that goes square out to point, who fields comfortably, and there is no run. And an interesting start to Mr. Taskin's over this one. That second delivery was a snorter.
Yeah, a little puff of dust as it went off the surface, and even that second ball had nice rise, nice lift in it. But England were the same, and I feel it will only be 1 or 2 overs, so they really need to strike here, hence why he's brought a slip in. The ball will settle down very quickly, so maybe a couple of balls for Phil Salt just to have a look here and get through these first couple of overs when the danger's there.
No, you were right. Chris Wokes was very similar when he was bowling for England earlier, as Taskin comes in again, and Salt drives nicely this time. Can't beat the fielder at mid-off. Wasn't completely timed, but mostly middle of the bat. But after getting used to watching either T20 or indeed England play Test cricket, there's almost a slightly slower approach to 50 over cricket. You don't have to score at 100 miles an hour all the time, and you do have time to get in, which Phil Salt quite rightly is doing in getting a wicket that is helping the bowlers a little. As Taskin is in once again, and again defensively played by Salt. Middle of the bat though, pushed out.
I don't mind this approach at all, Guy. I think in the modern era, to drive the game forward and to always be positive, and I don't want to sound like a dinosaur, but some of the skill of batting is managing the innings, and I felt Bangladesh were really poor at that. They probably have 25 or 30 runs out there by some poor options. 13 overs to go. If they just batted the overs out, they would have got 230 at 5 and over. And I think Salt needs to imply that mentality here as well now. Just be slightly cautious, look for the bad ball, but certainly respect the good ball while the ball is doing a little bit.
Well, at the moment, that's exactly what he's doing. Oh, we say that, and then he has a bit of a swing outside off stump, thick outside edge. If there had been a second slip, he may well have been in trouble. But instead it goes all the way down to third man, and Salt does get off the mark, but not in the most convincing manner you'll ever see in your life. And England, after 2 overs, are finding exactly why their bowlers enjoyed themselves earlier, because it's now the turn of the Bangladeshi attack to do the same. And here on TalkSport 2, England are 5 for 1 after 2 overs. Jason Roy, the man to go.
Yeah, width offered there by Taskin. Salt would have seen it early. I think it was the right shot to play. It was a decent length, but obviously with just the one cover, a slip and a third man in, I think that's a ball you got to take on in these conditions, and he gets enough on it and gets a single down to third man.
Salt galloping down for that single. Don't forget, we're less than a month away from the start of the Cheltenham Festival, with every race from the iconic Jumps event live across the TalkSport network. The spin will continue with Shakib, and that's nicely played by Salt. Shakib has his hands on his head. He thought he'd just managed to put the batsman under a little more pressure than eventually happened. Salt playing the ball up to mid-off for a very comfortable single.
I don't have a graphic of the field, Guy, but am I right in saying that both mid-on and mid-off were up for Shakib's first over to Jason Roy?
I think you're absolutely right, which is...
Looks like they've dropped the
they've
long
dropped
off,
back, which it could be why he was... yes, they're definitely further back now than they were for Jason Roy. But now a first ball for Malan. He's had to watch events at the other end of the wicket so far. Immediately to face Shakib. The left arm over the wicket, the left-handed Malan, who plays this out on the onside. Defensively, does a spot of gardening. The scoreboard remains on 6 for 1. Malan full of concentration, waits for that, and then they call through for a very quick single as the mid-off had come up since we had seen him against Salt. And well, it was a brave, but I think in the end the single was always there, but they had to go immediately.
Oh, I think this would have been close if it was a direct hit. Nice bit of fielding. No, you're right, he's probably made it. Good bit of running in the end.
Tight though, you're absolutely right. And certainly Bangladesh realising that if it had hit the stumps it would have certainly gone upstairs for a look. As it is, Malan is off the mark. He now has a single next to his name. Salt has a couple.
I like this field.
We'll describe the field in a minute. Shakib.
Yeah, they've got a very straight, short extra cover in there with a little bit of hold in the wicket, and might stop Phil Salt from just hitting through the line of the ball. He's obviously got protection behind as well, so that single option's gone, and if he does want to take a chance now, it has to be over long on. And this gives a chance for Shakib to attack and look to get another wicket.
Shakib bowling very nicely. That's wide, and Salt goes for the big swing. I don't know if he was playing for a bit of spin that wasn't actually there in the end, but he missed it by quite a distance in the end. But it was a mo, and the keeper's dropped it again. So apart from the delivery, and there was very nearly a bizarre run out because it was absolutely nailed by Salt. It hit a fielder who was in at short mid-off. The ball flew towards the stumps, and if Malan had been out of his crease, that would have been one of the more ridiculous run-outs you'll ever see in your life. But happily for Malan, I think, one, he was back, and two, the ricochet did not disturb the bails. But yeah, one of those moments.
That's the field that they brought in, sort of like you say, a shortish mid-off, or I like to call it a straight, short extra cover. He's still got cover behind him, the mid-off's back, but it's hit him on the boot and ricocheted almost straight to Shakib. And luckily David Malan was back in and the ball was fumbled. But another tidy over from Shakib. It looked like the squeeze is on here for this first bit of the power play.
Of course, we're also keeping an eye on events in the India-Australia test match here on TalkSport 2. Just to let you know, Australia have now gone into the lead. Remember, we're still pretty early on in day one. I think we may have had tea, but that's about it. 121 for 2 now, Australia. Khawaja 60 not out. So after the spinners got to work this morning and shot India out for 110, Australia 122 now for 2. Khawaja 61, Smith is 4, Labuschagne has gone. Taskin will now be bowling for Bangladesh in the Bangladesh against England ODI, and he makes sure that Malan is tucked up. Malan does manage to get bat across in the end and drop the ball down in front of his feet, and it squirts out into the offside, but Taskin just hurrying him up a little. That extra bounce, we've seen that in a couple of his deliveries, as we saw early on from Chris Wokes as well, that early on with this white ball there is a little bit of life for the quick bowler.
That one looked like it skidded on a little bit and kept slightly low of where Malan was expecting it to be initially as he comes in again.
Taskin through, and as Ryan has mentioned, that also seemed to keep ever so slightly on the low side, though it was well played in the end by Malan. Backward of square, the fielder is there though to cut off the run, and so moment England in survival mode really. We've seen one beautiful shot for 4, a lovely late dab cut from Jason Roy, but 2 balls later he gave the charge and just put the ball straight up in the air and was caught at mid-off. That left the score 4 for 1 at the end of the first over. Malan is very nearly cut in half. He's managed to miss the ball. Somehow it didn't carry to the wicket-keeper. It wasn't LBW and it didn't knock the stumps off, but that ball had everything except a wicket.
I think they have to review this. Might have squeezed it. I think if it's just hit the pad, it's probably missing the off stump. They've chosen not to review it. But it sort of just ballooned through to the keeper or lost a lot of pace. And I'm not sure how you feel, Guy, but my observation is that apart from that first ball that rose up quite sharply, a bit like Chris Wokes' first ball, the wicket does look like it's tiring and getting a bit lower, and looks like batting is going to be hard work here. It's not coming onto the bat as nicely as it was a bit earlier.
No, you're absolutely right. Well, they've just shown us the replay, and it wasn't off the bat. It did come off Malan's thigh. It looked too high for the LB. You could understand why Taskin was upset that despite cutting the batsman in half, he wasn't going to be out. That's wide, and Malan is happy to see it go. But yeah, after I was bigging up the bounce quite rightly in the first over, there were 3 there that you suddenly felt that Malan was jabbing down on rather. So again, this could make scoring quickly difficult.
And that last ball's bounced on the way through to the keeper. I'm pretty sure it was pace on. It looked like it kept pretty low and bounced sort of 3 or 4 foot in front of him. And this is why the stats suggest batting first is key in these conditions. It loses pace, it loses bounce. You can bang away at your length as a fast bowler, and scoring does become tricky.
We'll have 4 dot balls so far in this over, and that is left outside off stump by Malan. It goes through to the keeper, but again it bounces before it gets there. The keeper applauds the bowler quite rightly, because Taskin's bowled beautifully so far. He's got 1 more ball in his second over, single so far. And England chasing 210, which looked very doable when we were watching Bangladesh bat earlier, is suddenly realising why Bangladesh's total was a little on the low side. If the bowlers do their job properly, and that is finally off the bat, the middle of it, but it goes to that backward point position, who's been quite busy so far, and it's a maiden over from Taskin. Well bowled him, and England after 4 overs, 7 for 1 here on TalkSport 2, and hard work at the moment, Ryan. This is like watching old-fashioned test match cricket.
Yeah, it does look hard work. Malan, the only left-hander left now in the top order before Mo comes in at 7, so he's got a big role to play, with Shakib being the main threat at the moment. Obviously Tajul Islam will come into it, and they've got a plethora of off-spinners as well to come in, so it's going to be a challenge. How he uses his seamers is going to be crucial while they're going at a low economy rate and certainly threatening in some ways. It looks like they're creating something. I think he'll keep going with the seamers now up front.
That was in fact the first maiden of the game so far. Andrew McKenna noting that England failed to bowl a maiden despite bowling very well. There were no maidens next to any of the bowlers' names, and that is tickled round the corner via the pad for a single, which at least gets the scoreboard ticking, even if it won't go next to Phil Salt's name.
It's one that just slides on almost like an in-swinger to the right-hander, and just see Dawood Malan signal there to his opening partner Phil Salt, asking if it did do that. And for me, that's Shakib's danger ball. The one he holds up is more the defensive ball. Yes, it'll turn, you might catch the outside edge, but you want, as a right-hander, be careful that he doesn't beach on the inside, skid it through and hit you in front of the stumps.
Shakib, who has bowled very nicely indeed, he's picked up the 1 wicket to fall so far. Left arm round the wicket. Oh, and that swung away nicely by Malan, but there is a man in the deep who will keep them down to a single. But a little bit of a tacking intent there from Dawood Malan, and he got most of it.
Yeah, you don't want to stand still in the power play, and like I said, the matchup with the left-hander and the left-arm bowler, left-arm spinner, I think Malan has to take it on. It's the right option for him. The square man's very square, and it goes to him.
And they've gone for another very, very quick single, but Phil Salt again judging that distance to the mid-on very well. They were safely home, but England, well, they have to keep the scoreboard ticking over, and they've spotted that the mid-on and mid-off are a little bit further back now, and Phil Salt was in by miles.
That's the captain doing the fielding, and I'm a bit disappointed there. They've got them under a bit of pressure. Make the batters uncomfortable, make them take the hard option, and that's just an easy single at the end of the day. And there again, that's understandable there. It's head out to the sweeper, but certainly the men in the circle, they need to be on the 1 here. The ball is holding up, the batters are under a bit of pressure. It's time to get another wicket, so really put the squeeze on now with good attacking fields, not letting them get a single, make them hit through the field or over the field.
At the moment, England dealing in singles in this over. They've had a leg bye and 3 singles so far. Salt now facing. Shakib in. Salt waits for that one and smashes it into the covers, where the fielder stops some of it, but they should get back for 2, which they do. But that was intent and a good shot from Salt. He really did middle that one. Just leant back and smashed it into the cover area, where the fielder actually did pretty well with the ball spitting in front of him to take the pace off it, but they still trotted through for 2. This is a good delivery that Malan tries to Salt tries to hit into the leg side, fails to middle it, scuffs along to mid-on, but a better over as far as England are concerned. They've taken the score onto 13 for 1 after 5 overs. Salt 5 not out, and Malan 3 not out. 1 wicket to fall. If you're just joining us here on TalkSport 2, Jason Roy holding out in the first over for 4. And for those of you interested in the Australia-India match, Khawaja has gone, a 3rd wicket for Jadeja, and caught by Shubman Gill for 60. But Australia 125 for 3, and they lead by 16 runs. Earlier in the Bangladesh innings, the Shanto half century made 58, his first for his country in this format, ensuring that Bangladesh managed to get to 209 before they were all out in the 48th over. And in reply, England 13 for 1. Taskin in once again, and he's bowled so well so far, and having said that the ball was keeping low, that one spat a bit and wrapped the batter on the glove, and a shake of the hand from Malan.
Variation in bounce coming in there, and that makes it tricky as a batter to line it up. I think England don't need to worry about the run rate. I think if they bat the overs here, they win the game. And Toots mentioned earlier, they got so much depth. So it really, the biggest part now, the biggest skill of this is managing the innings and just assessing that this is actually a very tough phase of the innings.
At the moment, Malan doughty in defence. Salt looking to attack, and that's nicely played by Malan, but straight to the backward point fielder. There is no run. The fielder has a little fling in case Malan decides to step outside his crease. In fact, he had come some way down the wicket, so it was worth a go. And Malan just had to put the bat back over the line to ensure there wasn't an embarrassing run out. But he survives, as do England. (13 for 1). Taskin, only 1 run conceded so far from his bowling. There will now be more runs as that's dabbed past point by Malan, but there is a 3rd man out on the boundary ropes to ensure that it's just 1 run that is added to the total, and Malan moves on to 4. Phil Salt checks his guard before facing Taskin. Asks his batting partner if there's anything he should be watching out for. Required run rate is 4.4 currently, just under 4.5 and over, which in these days of big hitting and high scoring sounds pretty gettable, but on this wicket, well, it really is hard to score briskly, as England are now finding out as well. Taskin waits for Salt to get ready, and then Taskin coming in off a pretty lengthy run. Comes to the wicket now, bowls, and Salt drives, but the ring of fielders on the offside cope with that one. Doesn't find a gap, and it is another dot ball. So still only 2 runs have come from the bowling of Taskin. Really has bowled nicely in this opening spell. England almost in survival mode currently. Just the 1 boundary as we're coming to the end of the 6th over. And Taskin, as the ground goes quiet, now comes charging in once more. And that's slapped away by Salt, and he just gets it wide of mid-on. And as we've seen earlier, the ball just picks up speed. If it gets past the fielder, it wasn't middled at all, that from Salt, but it's his first boundary. The Bangladesh fielders shake their heads and smile ruefully. But that is 4 more runs to England, and 4 very welcome runs to England and to Phil Salt. And the fact that the ball runs so quickly on the outer parts of this outfield, coming to England's advantage there. 18 for 1, Salt moves to 9. Taskin's figures get ruined. He is now 0 for 6 off nearly 3 overs. India, meanwhile, have reviewed again with the ball pitching outside leg stump. As Taskin punches comes to the crease once again. It's punched out. That is the end of the 6th over now. England have scored 18 runs from those 6 overs. Phil Salt's just hit his first boundary and England's second. The 1 wicket to fall, that of Jason Roy. I'm now going to make way for Mr. McKenna, and Ryan Tenderskata will just give his thoughts on the early stages before handing over his microphone to Alex Tudor.
A welcome boundary there for Phil Salt. Boundaries have been hard to come by. I think Bangladesh have bowled really well here. The wicket playing very differently than it did this morning, or certainly in the first innings. And England are going to have a big challenge on their hand. I like something that Josh Butler said to the lead up of this game. You know, the perception is that England are always chasing 400. But what they're actually trying to do is push the boundaries of what's available. So, you know, they feel if it's a 180 wicket, they can get 200. If it's a 200 wicket, they can get 220. So it's just trying to maximise what they can do with the conditions in front of them. And I think so far, this has been a good exercise in doing that. They've assessed that this is a tricky period. They've soaked up a bit of pressure. They've taken the odd calculated risk, just the 1 boundary or off the last over, and they find themselves in a decent position here, only 1 down after 6 overs.
Bowling change. Tijul is in, left arm over the wicket, and he will bowl to Malan, clips to mid-on, and there is no run. Tijul is a slow left armer. He's got 20 wickets in this form of the game at just under 22.5, a best of 5 for 28. This is his first outing against England, though. So England 18 for 1 here on TalkSport 2. Malan comes down the pitch, launches this one back over the bowler's head, and gets enough of it that it clears the boundary and the advertising hoardings, and it is all the way for 6. England 24 for 1.
Yeah, the calculator risk again. It's a good matchup for him. The ball coming into him, he comes down the wicket, doesn't get very close to it, but elevates it and lifts it all the way over the boundary. I just wonder, if Tamim Iqbal's not missing a trick. You know, you got right-handers all through the middle up till Mo, and I wonder if he can try one of his off-spinners here in the power play to try and induce Dav Malan to make a mistake. I think this is a good matchup for Malan. I think they can lose the game in these couple of overs.
210 the target for England. Tijul goes in. No real turn for him there, as he's hurrying it on through, and Malan hits to the long on fielder coming into the edge of the circle, and it's just a single. To give you an idea, that was 99 kilometres an hour, so just under 62 miles an hour. We've seen bowlers bowling considerably slower than that, so Tijul is quicker and almost driving it into the pitch. But we've seen throughout this match, the surface getting disturbed, the ball will take a chunk out the surface. Adil Rashid, yes, we are talking about a wrist spinner, but he was absolutely hooping it round corners. Slip in play for Salt, 9 not out, round the wicket edge, and it is wide of that slip. It's going to be Mustafizur going down to the boundary at third. It keeps it on the playing surface. Litton Das will do the tidying up, and they'll come back. Wow, they've really hustled. They've taken 3 for that. So England go to 28 for 1. Salt goes into double figures on 12.
You're right, Macca. Adil Rashid got the ball to turn prodigiously in the first innings. What was most impressive was the way he upped and down his pace. He assessed quickly that the ball needed to be bowled slightly slower on this wicket, and the control with that change in pace was excellent. I thought Will Jacks, for someone who hasn't bowled a lot, I thought he was equally as good at doing that.
Tijul is in. Over the wicket to the left-handed Malan. Malan stays in the crease. That one round about shin high, not huge bounce, but doesn't stay excessively low. and it's played down the pitch, no run. 28 for 1. Final ball of the over is slightly shorter from Tigel. Malan on the back foot punches into the point region. Shakib Al Hassan will do the fielding. Single taken. 29 for 1. 7 overs gone. It is TalkSport 2. Keep reminding you what's happening in the India-Australia Test match. Tomorrow morning, of course, from 3:30. We'll be back with the commentary of that one. Australia now 127 for 3. And I can exclusively reveal to you, no matter how bad a day you're having at work, you're not having a worse day than India in terms of reviews. They have absolutely sawn themselves off. They've blown all 3 already, and some of the worst DRS reviews I have ever seen. And you get people say that kind of thing all the time, hyperbole. I genuinely mean that. Those are some of the worst reviews I have ever seen. Abhishek Junjunwala has moved in alongside me, who is nodding away. I'm not exaggerating, am I? They are stinkers.
I mean, all 3 reviews were not even hitting the stumps. They were that bad, unfortunately. And I mean, as a bowler, you would know surely, dudes. Like you definitely know where the ball is going.
100%. And as Mac always says, surely your first port of call, you go to your wicket keeper.
Yeah.
What's going on? But sometimes just the emotion. Obviously, when Kohli was captain, they were saying he was too emotional, take it away from him. It's not changed over Rohit, has it? It's not changed at all.
I just feel Rohit is worse.
It's terrible. Really bad. And I'm telling you, people, Macca's not even lying. It's worst reviews ever.
Mehdi Hassan is going to come on and bowl some of his off spin. Right arm around the wicket. Malan stays deep in the crease and guides this one backward a point for 4. Very easily looking shot. And Malan goes to 16 from 19. England 33 for 1. So we will keep you up to date with the test match there. But of course, the focus here on TalkSport 2 is we bring you exclusive commentary of this series is the one-day international between Bangladesh and England. Bangladesh winning the toss and batting 209 all out as they went in a heap. Shanto top scoring with 58. Mamadullah made 31. The only other batsman to get to 20 was Tamim Iqbal, who made 23 from 32. And the wickets, well, everyone got in on the act from an English point of view. Mehdi Hassan goes in. Now that one just stands up in the pitch, turns away and takes the outside edge of Malan's bat and is just wide of the cover fielder. They'll run 2, but there was very little control there. Mehdi just got that one to grip in the surface, and Malan's hands were way, way away from his body, and it landed just out of the reach of Shakib Al Hassan.
It just shows you the change in the wicket, Macca. The ball that he hit for 4, he waited really, really late to play it, and he caressed it. That one, it just stopped on him, played it a little bit too early.
Mehdi goes in. This one is roundabout off stump. Malan plays quietly to mid-off, no run.
So you're never really quite in, are you? You have to be in for a lot of, make sure you're in there for enough balls, give yourself time to get accustomed to it. As you said, the spinners are bowling extremely slow because it's gripping, it's purchase.
Mehdi around the wicket, takes the edge of the Malan bat, but it's a thick edge and it ricochets down into the gully region, and there is no run. There is plenty going on. So Mehdi Hassan is the 4th bowler used and the 3rd spinner. He's an off-break bowler who's got 79 wickets. He won't get his 80th on this occasion. Malan coming forward, plays to point, no run. 79 wickets at 32.9, a best of 4 for 25. He also gets through his overs at a decent lick, which is what actually Bangladesh need to do at the moment, because scoreboard pressure is kind of what they need here. Mehdi goes in, Malan bat and pad close together, squeezes it out on the offside, no run. There's lots of noise around the bat. The wicketkeeper's half going up for an LBW and then realises even on his worst day he's not going to get that one given because there's a huge inside edge. But after 8 overs, England 35 for 1, Malan 18, Salt 12, they're not out men.
He's bowled a very good over. Some of the ball turned, some ball just went straight with the arm, and that's what makes it so much more difficult as a batter when you're not sure which one is going to turn, which one is going to go straight. So it's been a good start for Mehdi, but that's where they got to make the difference. They need wickets. If they want to win this game, they got to take wickets regularly. They can't allow the England batters to settle and have a partnership. But with these two players, with all the experience, and Malan straight away into the action, he's played some wonderful shots. And from England's point of view, they want to score runs quickly. They don't want to hang around there for too long and just chew up too many deliveries and build that scoreboard pressure. And that's why both these players are looking to get going.
Well, a couple of things at play, of course. The wicket is getting harder as the game goes on, but we're also now losing the natural light. So the floodlights are going to come into the equation as well. So that puts another variable in. You're never quite sure what happens to the atmospherics and how the ball will react. Tigel is going to start
Starting new over left time around and bowls Phil Salt. Salt deep in the crease. It clatters into leg pole. England are 35 for 2. Salt goes for 12 from 19 balls.
Yeah, fantastic delivery from Tigel. It just sort of goes on with the arm. He's expecting turn. He's gone played on the back foot. It's just skidded on, brushed his back leg and flattened the leg stump. He's jubilant as Tigel, and that's a big wicket. As you say, Abhishek earlier was saying the importance of applying the pressure and for them to get these important England wickets with these two established players trying to cement themselves within this side, because it's a very difficult side to get into once everyone is playing. But that's a fantastic delivery. He said just going on with the arm. It's a little bit of a scrambled seam as it was going down. Skidded once it hit, brushed the leg, and as you said, hit the leg stump. He has to depart.
And that's why in the coaching manual they always say go back and across. When you're going back foot, don't take your foot outside the leg stump. If he went back and across, he wouldn't be out. Because even if the ball hit the pads, he was not getting out LBW. Because he went outside the leg stump, it ricocheted off his pad onto the stumps. So a bit of technical error, but nonetheless it was a good delivery from Tigel.
I mean, it's worth pointing out, we keep raving about this England side, but they have actually lost 5 of their last 6 one-day internationals. The game in Kimberley did end a run of 5 consecutive defeats, and that is partly due to obviously players coming and going with the different formats. So it's not quite the World Cup run, as it were. James Vince is the new man. Comes in for his 23rd one-day international today. 567 runs at just a shade under 30 is his average. Been playing out this winter. Playing in the Bangladesh Premier League, I think, hasn't he, James Vince, if memory serves? And I think he also had a bit in the UAE as well, so he's definitely been playing. Plenty going on. 2 slips in place for Vince's first ball. It's actually 2-leg side-ish from Tigel, and he's able to turn it to short, fine leg, and there is no run.
I'll tell you one thing, Mac, he hasn't spent much time at home. I think he also played maybe 2 games in the PSL before meeting up. So he's been all over the place. He's been in good form as well. He's been captaining the side, and he's been leading from the front.
Tigel 1 for 11. England 35 for 2. Coming forward is Vince, solidly hitting the middle of the bats. As that one just gripped and straightened in the surface. Not huge, elaborate turn. England 35 for 2. Left arm around the wicket is Tigel. Again, it's 2-leg side-ish from his point of view. Vince is able to simply close the face on that and turn it to Taskin at backward square leg, and they take a single. 36 for 2.
Just look like he's trying to bowl that magic delivery, isn't it? He's just asked for it to do too much. You see, he's got 2 slips in there, really, and he's just strayed. Easy pickings for James Vince. Always looks elegant when he's scoring runs.
Also with his delivery, I mean, he's not going over the spin, he's undercutting most of his delivery, hence he's not getting a lot of turn, which Adil Rashid was getting on this pitch.
Tigel left arm over the wicket into Malan. Again, keeps it pretty straight. It's hit back to the bowler, and in his follow through he stops it. No run. 36 for 2. It's TalkSport 2. Abhishek Junjunwala, Alex Tudor with myself, Andrew McKenna at the moment.
Also, if you look at the speed, he's bowling at 99 kilometers an hour. Probably that's one of the reasons he's not getting any purchase from the surface. And when we saw Adil Rashid bowling, he was bowling at around 70-75 kilometers an hour.
Tigel to finish the over. Back foot is Malan. Punching, well fielded by Shakib, who fields and keeps it to just a single. So 9 overs gone. 37 for 2 are England. Trying to make this 210. Go 1-0 up in this series. Their last international against Bangladesh, in Bangladesh, of course, Chittagong in October of 2016. England chasing down 277 for 6 on that day, Bangladesh posting. Adil Rashid took 4 for 43, and England knocked them off with 13 balls to spare, as Ben Duckett made 63 and Sam Billings 62. Well, I can tell you, Australia have just lost a 4th, and Steve Smith has gone. 37 the lead, 4 wickets down, and Jadeja has got another one. Oh my goodness, that's a... If I tell you it took a piece out the surface, it doesn't really do it justice. It was like a landmine went off. There was an explosion. Graces the outside edge, caught behind. That game's not going into the third day. Malan is coming forward to this one from Mehedi as we start a new over for Bangladesh. Mehedi into the pads of Malan, keeps it nice and tight. Malan just pushes back down the pitch, no run.
I can promise you I've played Jadeja on far worse pitches than that. In Saurashtra. Oh my God, yes.
Unplayable. Mehedi around the wicket, gives that one a little bit of air actually. Malan doesn't really time it and ends up just pushing it back to the bowler. No run.
Well, no one can say anymore that Test cricket is boring, regardless if it's if the game's going very fast, the way players are playing.
Mehedi comes in. Again, Malan is reaching away from his, pushes it out towards point, but it was probably aerial for the first half of that journey. No run.
It's entertaining is what it's getting, which is great for the game. You know, people turning on, watching it, listening to it.
Mehedi is in. Malan just dabs this one past slip where Litton Das is fielding, but the short third will cover. No run.
It's what it needed. Then in Test cricket, that's what it needed. Even though, you know, it's not a great Test wicket. Even Abby can admit to that it's not a great Test wicket. You don't want to be seeing chunks coming off on the first session.
Mehedi into Malan. Malan off the back foot finds Shakib Al Hassan again at cover, and there's no run.
Yeah, it's been the third test, and probably this is the worst pitch we have seen in the last 3 tests, because in all the other matches, in the first 2 test matches, the pitches were decent. They were good enough pitches to play Test cricket. But yeah, if the ball is turning like this in first day, it's not good.
Mehedi gives it a little bit of air. Malan comes in, beats the fielder at short extra, and Afif will field at long off, and a single is taken to complete the first 10 overs. 38 for 2 are England after those first 10, and as a comparison, Bangladesh were 54 for 2. So big differential there, but of course England know what they need to score, and that's the huge difference in this case, Avi. It means they can pace their reply.
Absolutely, they're not chasing a massive total. 210 shouldn't be an issue with so much experience and so much depth in the batting, with the likes of Butler, Moeen Ali still there waiting for their opportunity. It's just about one partnership. They get one 60-70 run partnership that's going to take them through, and probably this is the pair they'd expect them to do it.
It is TalkSport 2. Don't forget, of course, we're only weeks away from the Cheltenham Festival, and every race of that iconic meeting will be live across the TalkSport network. If you have enough sport for one day, you can never have enough sport for a day, but if you do, don't forget, of course, that Jeremy Kyle is every weekday from 7 o'clock on Talk TV and Talk Radio. Piers Morgan follows him at 8 o'clock. Talk TV is on Sky 522 and Virgin 606, or you can listen, of course, to Talk Radio on your DAB radio. Back foot on this occasion as we start a new over from Tijal for Malan, and he will hit to the cover sweeper, and it will be just a single as Mamadullah does the fielding, sweeping on the boundary. 39 for 2, trying to make 210. You're on TalkSport 2. Tijal is in his third over. Still got a slip in place, and absolutely why not. Short third that's bordering on a backward point. Square cover and extra cover. Then short fine leg and mid on, all inside the circle. So there's a deep square leg out on the leg side for the big shot. Tijal goes in. Oh my goodness, that creeps. And James Vince is a very lucky boy to get bat on that. He's trying to turn it away on the leg side. That would have barely cleared his shoelaces had he missed it. It stays really low in the pitch, and Vince gets the outside part of the bat on it. But if it's going to start doing that, 210 suddenly looks a long way away. Vince is very brave on this occasion. Tygel is outside of off stump and he allows it through to the keeper with no shots. But that previous one, boys, oh boy, that's alarm bells in the dressing room territory.
His friend are going underneath the stump smack, I'll tell you. Kept that low.
Tygel is in. Vince down the pitch. It's inside out over extra cover and gets a one bounce four. Now that's a lovely shot. James Vince goes to 5 with his first boundary. England 43 for 2.
Well, as I said, he scores elegant runs, James Vince, just advances down. Doesn't worry about the indifference in the wicket, just comes, lost it over extra cover, couple of bounces, 4 runs. Don't see a lot of batters do it. So when you do see a batter do it, it's such a great shot. You don't really have fielders there.
Tygel around the wicket, comes in again. Again, that doesn't bounce hugely, stops a little bit in the pitch, and Vince is off the back foot, hitting to long off, and it's a single, 44 for 2.
Also good game awareness. He didn't want to go across the spin, went with the spin, kept his shape nicely. Lovely shot, as you said. When the batters play it, it looks beautiful. Not many batters do it in international level. So yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful shot.
I remember Carl Hooper, Stuart Law, obviously Kohli does it. There's not many go over extra cover.
David Malan waits as Tygel comes in and bowls left arm over. It's short and wide of off stump. Hammered out to the point sweeper. Malan takes a single, goes to 22. 45 for 2 at the end of 11 overs. So 210 the target. England 45 for 2. So they need 165 more runs to win. 39 overs to get them. Just, I mean, joking aside about that one that keeps low, at what point did batters start thinking, look, there's going to be one with my name on it? This isn't a minefield. It's not like the pitching indoor where there's happening all sorts. But if it starts maybe to keep low a bit more often, at what point do batters start thinking, well, there's one with my name on here, I'm going to get my runs as quick as I can and try and almost get this finished before it happens too often, Abby?
I mean, it all depends. Again, you can always, either you can be ready for that delivery where you're always looking for that delivery and you're ready, you go a little lower as a batter, you just crouch a little bit more and you just, try and play as straight as possible. Or you take the other option where you think, you know what, I might get out sooner or later with that delivery, I'm going to take my chances. So it's again, it completely depends on what the batter is comfortable with, what he thinks. So yeah, completely batter dependent.
Off spin again from Mehedi. Around the wicket to Malan, who plays very well with soft hands. He allowed that one to turn and then just dabbed it down towards short third. Always in control of that one. Was looking to play an attacking shot and then just rode the bounce.
I just want to point something that he planted his foot very early.
Mehedi comes in. This one's down the leg side. Malan, though, will be disappointed. He's not able to beat short, fine leg, and there's no run.
The previous delivery, if you see David Malan planted his right foot too early, otherwise he could have easily played that ball on the back foot. And that's what you need to do on these pitches. When the bowler is bowling slow, you cannot just commit yourself on the front foot. You just got to wait so that you're able to go on the back foot and punch it through covers for one.
Mehedi around the wicket. Gives that one a little bit of air. Might even be a sort of carrying ball. It seems to flick out the fingers, but it bounces on Malan. Beats the shoulder of the bat. And in fact, it wasn't a carrying ball. It was a regular off spinner that just, again, took a chunk of the pitch and bounced through to the keeper. No run. Fuller on this occasion from Mehedi. Maybe too full. Malan pushes it back to the bowler. No run.
Just saying, as a batter, obviously Abby would know better than me, but obviously when you see the wicket disintegrating a little bit, it's taking lumps out, it's got to be a worry.
Mehedi around the wicket. Malan forward, inside edge onto pad, hence the strangled appeal. It feels like every ball's an event at the moment. This game's really, really in the balance.
You always felt that when there's a pitch like this, when some balls are turning and some aren't. I'll come back to that.
Mehedi is in, bowls, squeezed out on the offside by Malan, no run. Carry on with that point. I'm getting out of the way. Jared will pick up the ball by ball.
As a batter, you're always better off playing the ball as a straight ball, because if the ball turns, then more often than not, it's not going to get your edge unless you're really throwing your bat out. So the best option is to try and play every delivery as a straight delivery, and unless it's a short one, then you can rock up on the back foot and punch it. Yeah, but a lot of times we see batters get confused. They want to play for the spin at the same time they're looking for the straight one as well.
Playing 2 deliveries at once.
A lot of players do that, yeah.
Well, this is interesting. This is why Bangladesh win so many games at home. Their bowling attack is perfectly suited to these conditions, and they're actually a very good team at sort of those middling totals. This is probably a little bit less than they would have wanted to score. They usually prefer to be around 230, 240. But James Vince, he's 6 off 7. He's facing Tajul. And this is full. But he goes back in his crease, waits for a little bit, pushes out in the offside. There's no run. That's one of the straightest balls we've seen. It's a slip in place. Tajul comes in again. He comes down the wicket. This isn't straight. This spins. He's beaten. And he is stumped. He was nowhere near that. He was a mile away from the ball. And in the end, he was a mile away from the ball when it comes to the pitch as well. Even the square leg umpire's got a smile after that one. And it was a big stumping. Good hands by the keeper there. But another wicket. England in all sorts.
If you aren't sure if the ball's going to stay straight or spin, one thing you don't do is step out.
On the leg side of the ball especially.
Yeah. I mean, that was a terrible shot. I'm not taking anything away from James Vince. He's a class player. He's a very elegant flair. But that was a shot of a man who wasn't sure what's happening and what's coming to him. And eventually, gets out for 6 of 9 deliveries. Very well bowled again. This time he just slowed down the pace a little bit.
Last one was quicker and straighter.
Yeah.
This one was a little bit slower, spun away.
Yeah.
But yeah, elegantly wasted, I think, from James Vince there. Not ideal. 45 for 3 here on TalkSport 2 with Abhishek Janjanwala and Alex Tudor, myself, Jared Kimber. He's a good bowler, Tajul. He's clever, and as I said, they just know how to bowl in these conditions, right, Shoots?
Yeah, 100%. We always knew it was going to be difficult for England. This little mini series here, you know, they're very good at home. As you said, haven't lost since 2016. Very good side, well organised. As you said, their bowlers are very canny, as they have to be in these conditions. So England players now, and you've got players that are trying to establish themselves. Obviously, Joss has just strolled to the wicket, and he's been in fantastic form, and he's always entertaining. It always feels like it's a masterclass in ODI cricket when he's at the wicket. As you say, Malan's most probably best suited for this sort of situation, but then you're going into the all-rounders with Mo and the likes with Wokes and Jacks, who's making his debut. So it's not going to be easy.
Josh Butler is going to be facing up. There's a slip in place. See if they bring in any catches. We saw 2 catches at times when Bangladesh were batting, especially when Adil Rashid was spinning it. He's just at Vince. He was a foot and a half outside the leg stump as he came down the crease there. He's ended up trying to swing it to the leg side, which I think originally he wanted to go over long off. That was a mess.
I mean, he played a beautiful over extra cover drive where he went with the spin.
This is full straight, and Butler just watches this under his eyes, defends it to short cover, no run.
And then tried to go onside, and that happened primarily because of his footwork, because he danced down the track on the leg stump rather than going straight on the pitch and going towards the pitch of the ball.
It wasn't until I saw the replay I realised he was that far outside. I thought he was at least near leg stump. He was a mile away. Dab sweep from Butler. He gets down very early, slip, runs around, and he stops a second run. But Butler is off the mark, 46 for 3.
Yeah, he's going to keep it quite interesting here. Joss Butler with all his cheeky little dabs and late cuts. He loves dancing down the track and taking the bowlers on, but you can do that on this pitch as well, but you just need to pick the right delivery. You can't have that predetermined that I'm just going to step out. It doesn't matter where the bowler is going to bowl.
Malan is facing up now, so left arm orthodox to him. Tajul. No catches in place. This one is the straight one, a little bit quicker. Defended back to the bowler, no run. Last ball of the over, so the target is 210, so England's already dropped behind it. The runs aren't going to be a problem. The 3 wickets are probably going to be more of a problem at this point. Malan facing Tajul again. This one he flicks from outside off stump, inside of the bat. You can hear the Bangladesh bowler and keeper get excited there, but it's fielded by Mustafizur Rahman, and they just come back for 1. 47 for 3 on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, I think the skipper Tamim will be very happy with what he's seen so far. Tajul's been very good. 2 for 22 off his 4 overs so far. England 47 for 3. As you say, the captain David Malan, very experienced players at the wicket at the minute. England need them to stay there for a period of time, just to take the nerves out of the change room, if the England change room ever has nerves these days.
One thing I would say, Tajul's probably their 3rd best spinner, and he's a pretty good bowler. England have got obviously a lot of more part-timery spinners. I mean, Moeen Ali's a test wicket taker. We're not saying he's not very good, but it's a slightly different kind of bowling attack when you've got, so many specialist spinners on one side, and they've still got part-timers that they probably won't need.
And also they know the conditions, right? They know exactly which length to bowl, the way they want to bowl on the surface.
Mahedi has bowled an absolutely beautiful ball. I don't know how it isn't bowled him. They're appealing. They're not even appealing for caught behind or LBW. They're just appealing because that should have been a wicket.
Yeah.
It's pitched on middle and leg, ripped across. It's ended up at slip. Just see if it hit anything. Might have hit the Mushfiq's shoulder on the way through to slip. It bounced, it spun, it was quick. Dawid Malan looked confused afterwards.
I mean, to be honest, you can't do a lot with that delivery, can you? And I don't know what he's thinking the next one.
He's thinking, I hope I can hit this, and he has. He's pushed this out to backward point awkwardly, but he's got it away. That was a lot slower, that last one as well.
I would take the mid-wicket out and put a gully in as well, just to make him try and go across the line and see what he does. If he gets a boundary, it's fine, but you do bring in the wicket and play as well at that.
Still just got the slip in place. This one is a little bit over-pitched by Mahedi, and it's just pushed down to long off, and he gets one. Probably let Malan off the hook there, but just the one run off the 3 balls so far this over.
I agree. Sometimes you've got to mix it up, isn't it? When you're getting that purchase as a batter, you think, oh my goodness. So as you say, you take that mid-wicket out, so it's in his eye line, he knows, and he's just playing, he just wanted to turn the bat face, so he's only playing with half the bat. As you say, with that one, he was just a little bit too full, so he was able to present the full face of the bat, just hit it down to long off for an easy single. But the pressure's on. A couple more wickets.
Butler's going to have a leg slip in place to Mahedi.
I can see a big shot coming. You know he loves going cow. The moment he sees an off spinner, he loves going big. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does it quite quickly.
They've moved deep backward square further around, and they put the leg slip in, so he's not going to be able to play that dab shot as easily as he did in the last over. Tossed up, over pitched, but in the end he yorks himself, Butler, as he comes forward, back to the bowler, no run.
To be fair, I don't care where they put the fielders. If he decides he's going to hit it for 6, it's going. These boundaries are not big enough for Joss if he decides he's going downtown.
This time he just chips this down to long on. Again, it was full, and flicked the wrists on it a little bit, and he gets through for another single.
That's how I think you've got to play as a batter. As I said, you've got to make sure that you're closer to the ball. The time the players have got themselves in trouble, they've given themselves too much, and then the ball's really turned, as it showed in the James Vince dismissal earlier.
Coming around to Malan again. Malan pushes his hands at it. You hear there's half a chance of a run out. Direct hit, maybe, but I think even then Joss Butler was quick enough to get in. But Malan just pushed that into the offside with the spin, and they take a single. It's the end of the 14th over. Mahedi's gone for 10 runs in his 4 overs, and England are 50 for 3 here on TalkSport 2. Abhishek Janjawala and Alex Shooter are going to have a spell. Well, Alex Shooter's going to have a spell. Abhishek's been dismissed. And Ryan Tenduskarth is going to be joining me. So target is 210. It is tricky. In fact, I've got 2 screens in front of me, Ryan. And sometimes I'm going to get... There's so much spin in front of me at the moment. It's like being in a political war room. Australia 156 for 4. Peter Hanscom batting in the baggy green, doing that for the photos back home. And he's batting with Cameron Green, and they've got a lead, Australia, but I think the Indian bowlers are struggling early on, are bowling a lot better now. In fact, if they had some reviews, they'd be in a much better position. Ty Jismal comes back on, and this one is overpitched and pushed straight back to him by Dawid Malan for no run. 160 of 35.5. Tydra comes in again, slightly short, doesn't get up. It's pushed beautifully off the back foot by Malan, and there's a misfield. Is that Lytton Das in at covers, and he's a bit disappointed with himself as he lets through a single there. That should have been another dot ball.
England batting deep today, as they always do, but you feel this is the big partnership. The skippers come to the wicket, 3 wickets down, 50 runs. They really need a partnership here to get them closer to the target they're looking to get this afternoon.
Dudgel with the slip in place to Joss Butler, and he gets the inside part of Butler's bat, and they're looking for 2 as he pushes it out to mid-wicket, but there was only ever 1. Again, Malan call no on that.
Just felt that James Vince took the bait a little bit. You know, the scoring was tough and boundaries were hard to come by, but you felt like he didn't need to play that shot.
I don't think anyone needs to play that shot.
I mean, sometimes you do need to change the rhythm.
Yeah, well, I think if he came at the ball, I could understand it, but I think that was too big of a risk on a spinning wicket. There's a slog sweep by Malan. And he's got this away and over the fielder on the boundary in 6. Well, he's picked that up beautifully. In fact, he kind of got inside the line of that slog sweep, and it went finer than you usually see that shot, but it clears the boundary by about, 5-10 metres over the top of the fielder out there?
Yeah, it's gone straight over the fielder's head. Lovely shot from Malan. But you do sometimes have to, push it back at the bowling side. You can't just sit. And you saw Vince get one away earlier over extra cover between the two fielders, and that is his shot. And I think with the amount of turn on offer and the odd one sliding through.
Oh, there's a shout here for LBW. Comes forward, Malan. It's hit him just outside the line of off stump. I can't imagine they're going to review that. Tamim's having a conversation now. By a conversation, I mean he's walking with his hands up, waiting for someone to tell him something.
Mushfiqur looked very interested. He's surprised that they don't review it after the way they've gone for that appeal.
It just looked outside off stump.
Yeah,
immediately.
I think you're right. Oh,
they are.
Yeah.
They are reviewing. My guess is here that this is going to be
umpire's call outside off stump.
Yeah, you're right. I think it might be an umpire's call. Now, just get back to the James Vance. So I've got no problem with the attacking shot or the intent. But I think if you're coming down to a left arm finger spinner and you're going that far outside leg stump, you're just giving us, if it spins even a little bit, your hands have got to be incredible. And now we know his hands are incredible, but that spun a lot, to be fair to him as well. But he was so far away from the ball. And he can hit inside out from quite close to his body. That's one of his skills. But just having a look at this one. So he gave it a little bit of air. Did Tajul. That's closer to off stump than I thought, Ryan.
Still might be umpire's call.
It took him a long time to do the review. It's hit the top of the knee roll. I don't think it's going over, though. We've seen one go over today. I don't think this is going to go over.
It's a good review either way.
Yeah. They took their time taking it, but it's certainly hitting him within the line of off stump, and it's just clipping the outside of leg stump. So in the end, they have retained their review, so I don't think there was a problem there. I don't think either of us saw that as just clipping the outside of leg stump. So well done to Mushfiqur. But unfortunately for Bangladesh, they don't get the wicket. Malan is 32 from 49.
And Tajul getting prodigious turn. He bowls slightly quicker than the rest of the guys we've seen on show today. Obviously a lot of action on the ball with his fingers, and he's been hard worker, even to the left-handed Malan.
Malan facing him again. He's bowling over the wicket. Left arm orthodox. This is hitting outside of stump. That's an appeal because the last one was turned down. He goes out to point. There's no run. 58 for 3 at the end of 15 here on TalkSport to Jared Kimber and Ryan Tentiscata.
I guess Jared looking ahead to India again. I don't want to keep harping on about it, but this is a test of these guys who bat in the top order to see how they play spin. I'd imagine Ben Duckett comes back in. I think is a very good player of spin. He can bat at the top of the order, left-handed option as well. But someone like Jason Roy and James Vince has waited a long time for his turn. He's been prodigious around the world in all the franchise cricket he's played. He felt like it's right. He feels ready for it. He feels hungry for it. And then you come to these conditions. I don't know how much pep he would have had being in Dubai for the last month and Australia in the Big Bash before that. So, guys have to weigh up where they want to go with their cricket and what they want to prioritise. If being at a World Cup is a big thing for him, he might have to review his strategy of how he's going to go about prepping for the rest of the year.
Mehdi Hassan with a leg slip to Josh Butler, who sweeps powerfully in front of square, and that's gone for 4. I said before that they had the deep backward square a little bit finer than you would normally have, and because of that, Butler has just picked the gap between deep mid-wicket and a fine deep backward square, and it's gone for a boundary. Beautiful strike.
Effortless flow of the bat all the way on the carpet, picks the gap, couldn't have picked it any better. Maybe on a slow wicket, I would have that deep square a lot squarer.
Yeah, I think it's too fine, but Bangladesh also had theirs quite fine. So maybe that's because, especially with the off spinner, you could sweep with the spin a little bit more with the angle, but I think you're right. It didn't make sense to me that it was so fine. Mehdi comes in again. This one spins just a little bit. The leg slips out now as he knocks this to leg side for no run. Leg slip has moved into short, a fairly short fine leg. He's not quite back on the edge of the circle. Mehdi comes in again. This is the straight one and is defended to square leg, and they just walk through for a single. I'm not sure they've got that leg side field exactly correct at the moment.
I don't mind the short fine leg. I think he's more there for a catching option. I think for the sweep that goes up in the air, or certainly to be in Butler's mind. But the only thing I would change is I'd bring that deep square the cover. I'd bring him square it and make him look to hit a bit sort of around the ball, brings the edge into it a lot more as well.
It's very rare you see a fielder inside the circle behind square, not on the edge of the circle. That was what was interesting there. But the push from Malan to Mahadi's off spin, and this goes to back the point. There's no run. They've got to slip back in place for him. Malan is practicing hitting through the line, I think, as much as anything there. Mahadi full, maybe slightly overpitched, and is easily pushed down to long off, and they take a single.
Jared, as much as we like seeing the ball getting whacked all parts of the ground, you know, one of the criticisms of ODI cricket is that the middle phase can be a bit dull. For me, this is riveting cricket. It feels like something's happening every ball, and it's a heck of a challenge for the English players to go there and adapt to these conditions quickly.
Straight one from Mahadi, and Butler gets inside the line and turns it again on the leg side for a single.
Yeah, lovely footwork from Butler. He looks comfortable in these conditions, and Abhishek mentioned earlier about, you know, staying inside the line of the ball when you're going back for that exact reason. So he covers the line of the ball there, opens up that front hip, which allows him to maneuver the ball into the leg side, and it's an easy one for him.
Oh, the way you just played that is very similar to how Callis and Amla and AB de Vries would play off spin. That, you know, sort of moving across a little bit and just turning almost everything and almost using the skill of the off spinner against them. So you're listening to TalkSport 2. England need 145 of 34 overs with 7 wickets in hand. It's a tough pitch. It started off not looking as bad as it has been, but the longer the inning, or both of the innings have gone, the tougher it has been to score, and England have not batted particularly well so far. Malan is unbeaten on 33 from 53, and Butler has joined him on 9 from 9. I think we're going to get a bowling change. We're going to get Taskin Ahmed coming back in. He slogged a few earlier on.
Yeah, he did. I'm surprised we haven't seen Mr. Fizi yet. You know, obviously the conditions are crying out for spin, and Taskin has been a good attacking option for them as well. But the left arm angle might just be a bit of an upset for the rhythm of the batters.
Taskin short, and his edge to slip. Butler has played a back foot fourth, got the outside edge. They had a second slip in place, no first slip, and it sort of looped to the slip in the end, almost tennis ball bounce, and a good catch. And Josh Butler is out. England are in all sorts of trouble here now. 65 for 4.
Huge wicket. Hats off to Tamim Iqbal. Not only does he make the bowling change, he has a slip in as well. I think that's fantastic captaincy. A wide slip, and it goes straight to him first ball. It takes some guts. You know, there's a lot of pressure from both ends with the spin. The ball is spinning prodigiously, but sometimes you have to make that brave move, think outside the box, and it pays dividends immediately. And that's a big wicket, and England are in trouble now.
I can tell you this, Tendo, there isn't an analyst in the world that doesn't think that you should always have a second slip for Josh Butler. It's just that convincing captains and coaches of that when Josh Butler is hitting you for 4 and 6 all the time is the hardest conversation ever. I remember when I was working for the Melbourne Stars, I suggested 3 slips to Butler. It didn't go well, my suggestion, but because of that shot, he always forces it. It's a problem that he had in Test cricket as well. You wouldn't expect him really to have that kind of problem on this kind of wicket, and you could see the way it kind of looped up as well.
Well, that's why. I mean, that ball has risen a bit again. He's played away from his body, but you know, from the evidence we've seen in the first 16 overs, it was only a small sample of the seamers bowling up front. There hasn't been that carry, and that slip looked quite deep as well. And it's actually carried sort of chest height to him, straight to him. But like I say, you know, to have the theory and to have the analysis and to have the plan, there's one thing. But to execute it, particularly when things are going well, you've got a bit of a squeeze on. I think he deserves a lot of credit for that.
Definitely. I mean, also Butler, I know he's not set, but he was 9 off 9. It wasn't as if he just came to the crease, and we were thinking that we'd be seeing spin for quite a while. And if anything, Mustafiz was the one we were expecting to come on. So I think that was quite an interesting move, and obviously played off. We've got drinks here. It is hot and sticky, although, you know, you certainly get worse days in Bangladesh. The majority of the crowd are under the shade where they can be. There's a bit of shade in this ground. It's not too bad at all.
Yeah, I'd imagine the crowd will start filling in now. That seems to be the trend in Bangladesh, you know, sort of after work hours, particularly
I thought you were going to say when they're on top.
Well, when the team's on top particularly, they do come streaming in. And what a moment for Will Jacks to come to the wicket. It's a great opportunity for him. It's going to be tough. He does play spin fairly well. He's obviously a very attacking batsman, so his game plan, his strategy is going to be important. You know, how much pressure can he soak up, and how deep can he take this innings to set it up for the guys at the back end. But England have got all the work to do now. Bangladesh have played this beautifully. Got a lot of overs of spin up their sleeve, and they can use the seamers as they have done here. Just bring them in for short bursts of attack, just to change up the rhythm, change up the pace, and keep the batters thinking all the time.
Soham from CricViz is probably listening in. I think during the South African series, we were talking about the ideal teams, and he was saying that Jacks could open in the World Cup, which would give you even more bowling opportunity. But this is big for him, as we talked about before with Moeen Ali and everything else. So far today, England are chasing 210. Jason Roy was dismissed by Shakib Al Hassan for 4. Phil Salt was bowled by Tajul Islam for 12. Malan still not out on 33. James Vince was stumped for 6 by Tajul Islam, and that was Joss Butler just going out caught at second slip by Shanto. Well, I say second slip, floating slip. He was standing at second slip, but he was the only slip, and he was dismissed for 9. So a lot of pressure. These are the sorts of things you kind of want to happen before a World Cup as well. You want to see how your team is going to handle this. They're only going to play Tendo probably in the World Cup. They might only get 1 or 2 wickets that is going to play like this, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think they're scratching their heads about this middle order position. I think there's an overload of top order batters. You know, Jacks has done well at the top of the order where he's played before. So this is an opportunity to explore someone else batting in this role at 6.
Taskin, fast, outside off stump. This one dies. Complete opposite to what happened. Will Jacks looks up at Darwin Malan and goes, that didn't do anything off the pitch, as he leaves that alone. Completely died. So the last one takes off and gets an edge, and this one doesn't. It is very inconsistent bounce.
We already mentioned Duckett. I'd imagine Harry Brook's going to be part of the World Cup plans as well. I think he's someone who plays spin fantastically well. So again, you know, where do you fit him in if he does come in? And again, for me, the glaring sort of hole or the area you want to strengthen is someone to bat alongside Butler in the middle order.
Taskin pumping those elbows in. This is an inside edge. He had little idea, Will Jack, where that was going. He was trying to push that on the offside, and it's taken the inside part of the bat, gone back behind him between him and the stumps, out to fine leg, and they get 1 run.
Geez, Taskin Ahmed's been around for a very long time, and I think he's actually got better as a bowler. He's maybe lost a little bit of pace. He's been injury plagued, you know, for as long as I've known him. I'm probably going back to 2010, 2011 when he started playing domestically. But he certainly made a good fist of it, and he comes up for Bangladesh when they need wickets. He was fantastic in the World Cup this year in Australia.
He was incredible, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was really impressive at the World Cup.
If he did that for a bigger team, there was a couple of bowlers as well that I thought, you know, Paul van Meekeren was another one. If they'd done the exact, I don't want to suck up to you because of your Dutch connections, but if they'd done that for bigger teams, everyone would have been discussing how well those two had bowled. He's outside off stump, over pitches, half volley, pushed by Malan comfortably, but to mid-off, he's up in the circle. There's no run. They got 4 players in the circle on the offside, but they've got a slip and then a backward point, cover and mid-off. So quite a packed offside position there, and having the slip in place, trying to get a wicket again. But yeah, I thought Taskin, I thought that was almost as good as I've seen him bowl consistently, game in, game out. We've seen him bowl very well for individual games, but just going back to back the way he did in that World Cup, I thought he was exceptional. He comes in again, over the wicket to Darwin Malan. This is a beauty. Wobble ball, on off stump, angled across, maybe moved a little bit further away. Malan made a very late decision to kind of push his hands at it, but all he would have done then is got an edge, so he's lucky to have missed that.
I really think this is fantastic from Tamim Iqbal. Not only has he brought him back and had the attacking fields, but even see there, the one that he's punched to mid-off. Tamim himself is off the ring. You know, he's saying to him, if you want to make a play, go for it. You go 5 down here, it's pretty much game over. And again, that takes a bit of guts. It's easy to sit here and say it, but for him to be delivering that sort of captaincy out there, I think is excellent.
Alan Donald watching on. He knows a little bit about fast bowling, I think. Taskin Ahmed, again, length ball outside off stump. Malan tries to force this on the leg side, and unfortunately for him, he finds mid-on, who's up in the circle, and there's no run. He timed that pretty well, but couldn't find a gap. A great work by Tamim Iqbal then. It wasn't what we were expecting, but he got the breakthrough, and being that it was Joss Butler, that's almost 2 breakthroughs in one.
Fast bowler in Bangladesh, or certainly in conditions like this, you know, you get to bowl 3 overs of the new ball, and you're probably not required too often after that. You come back for maybe a spell or 2 or a spell of 3, and to deliver like that is a serious skill, and he's been on the money there. Those are 6 fantastic balls. Put the pressure on the batter every single ball, made them play every single ball. Jack's got away there with an inside edge, which was a good ball. And I think if you put the ball in the right area and let the ball do the work, let the pitch do the work, it's going to be tough work, and the pressure's just going to build on this England middle order now.
66 for 4 here on TalkSport 2. That was Ryan Tendaskata. I'm Jared Kimber, and Bangladesh well on top at the moment. They only made 210, but the conditions did seem to get harder as the innings went on. Bit of bowling change here. Shakib Al Hassan is coming on. He's replacing, was Mahedi bowling from this end? Now, I'm now confused with my ends. I think it was Mahedi bowling from this end. So he's bowled 3 overs, 1 for 11. He took the first over. So they've gone back to their 2 opening bowlers. So they've only used the 4 bowlers so far. So they still have Mustafizur Rahman to use. And they've also, if they want to go to extra spinners, they've got Afif Hassan. I'm trying to think. I think there's someone else who bowls part.
Shanto bowls a bit of part-time.
Shanto's another one. So they've got a couple of
Mamadullah.
extra. Oh, Mamadullah. That's the one I was missing. This ball is flicked from outside off stump and to the leg side into a gap, and they take 1. That was a little bit short from Shakib. It gave Jax the ability just to move that. Yeah, so, Mamadullah will certainly bowl, and then they've got the other guys. So if they want to throw a lot more spin at it, when we'll see the Fizz bowl, I don't know, but if it gets close at the end, he'll certainly be bowling towards the back end. Jax is moved on to 2.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally he's been fantastic at the death. The good slow ball he's got. It's not what they need right now. They need attacking option, wicket taking options, and he's probably rightly holding it back at the minute.
Shakib over the wicket to Dawid Malan. He moves outside off stump and defends this onto the leg side for 1. That was good batting there. Just seeing the crowds. Decent crowd already, to be fair.
Such a great place to play cricket as well. The atmosphere there is really, really good. They're passionate about their cricket. They're noisy. And when their team's on top, they let you know about it.
Oh, inside edge as he comes forward, Jax. He didn't really know much about that ball, for being honest. He ended up trying to defend it. Inside edge back onto his pads and dribbles out on the offside for no run. He instantly retakes his guard, which suggests to me that it just frazzled him a little bit, or he got his feet in the wrong position on that last one. This one he defends off the outside part of the bat to point, and there's no run. Shakib just working him over a little bit here. Jax looks a little bit nervous.
You have to cover the inside with Shakib. That's what makes him so tricky. And then he stands there. I was just saying to Tudes there, you got to watch out for the slow, the setup.
He's overpitched this, but Jax wasn't ready to capitalise on it and can't get it past mid-on, who's up in the circle. Tamim asked Shakib if he wanted to slip. He said no, so I think he's setting him up for the bold LBW. And this one does spin, but it's a little bit too short, and it lets Jax off the hook, and he cuts this out to the sweeper and takes 1. So it's the end of the 18th over. 69 for 4 here on TalkSport 2. Required rate is 4.41, which is very gettable. The 4 wickets is the bigger problem at the moment. Malan's on 34. He's played some good shots, but looked tentative at times as well. Jax is new to the crease on 3 from 7. I'm assuming we have Bangladesh as favourites right at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, from what we've seen, absolutely, in these conditions and the options that he has available to him, it's going to be hard work. Having said that, this partnership and the next one with Mo and Ali, if they can get it round about the 120 mark, with the quality that they have in their tail, relative quality, they can all bat. They're still in with the chance, but certainly at this stage, I'd put Bangladesh a long way ahead.
You feel like cameo innings could really change things. It's just that it doesn't feel like a wicket for a cameo innings.
No, you look at where all the boundaries have been scored today. It's been off poor balls, balls that have strayed in line. There hasn't been much bang down the ground, and that suggests scoring is going to be tough.
Taskin, back of a length, outside off stump. Will Jax aggressively comes down the crease and times this beautifully to mid-on. There's no run. So far he's found mid-on on quite a few occasions.
I like that from Jax though, a bit of movement, try to put the pressure back on the bowlers. Nothing reckless, but just that change, that movement can make the bowler change his length, and that's what you want. You want to force the bowler to bowl a bad delivery here.
TV's just showing a collection of Dawid Malan struggling with Taskin Ahmed today. Few of the seam bowlers though have made people look a little bit worse. Jax comes down the wicket and tries to play a Kevin Peterson flamingo heave over long on. and misses it, and then looks at the pitch as if to say, must have been the pitch.
And Mushfiqur straight up behind the stumps, giving his commentary on the situation. A real competitor, Mushfiqur.
Jeez, he's missed that by a long way, Tender.
Yeah, that's bounced again before the keeper. I mean, the carry, it's so inconsistent. The bounce is so inconsistent. I'm not sure that's the right way to play. You know, it's easy to sit here and say, but you really have to soak it up. They've got to be thinking if they bat the next 31 and a half overs, they're going to win the game. Just how do you go about doing that? Keeping your mind about yourself.
Taskin, slip in place. Full, outside off stump. Maybe tailed in a little bit, actually, that ball, but it squeezed out beautifully. But straight to point again. So Jax is now 3 from 10, sorry. He's timed a few balls, but he's hit a lot of them straight to the field. So that frustration, we sort of saw it come out in the last ball, didn't we?
And that's the one you want to put away, you know, the one that's right under your nose, it's wide. You want to throw your hands at it, but obviously with the pitch playing the way it is, you don't set up in that manner. You know, you're kind of searching for the ball, and then you only go half-hearted at a really bad ball like that.
141 from 31.3. Just under 4.5 and over required by England. Taskin outside off stump, and he's almost dragged this back on as Jax. It was a length ball. He tried to force it on the offside, maybe through extra cover. Inside edge, back onto his feet. He didn't even know where the ball had gone for a second there. And again, just seam up ball. Little bit of movement though. And he was lucky, Jax, because that could have gone back easily onto his stumps.
It's about at this time that you go to the tour diary and you circle when the trip to Chittagong is. You know you're going to get a good wicket. Yeah, this looks really hard work. I know it's what they would have prepped for and what they would have expected. But even over the course of 50 overs, the surface has changed a lot and it's become a lot more difficult to bat on.
Taskin really pumping through the crease now. Put a lot of effort into that one, but it's outside off stump, length, and Jax opens the face, guides that down to third, takes a single. So Taskin Ahmed has 8 runs off 4.5 overs so far. It's interesting because Jofra Archer let a lot of runs go early on, but then Wood and Wokes were hard to get away at times. Taskin Ahmed, though, seems to have found a better length than perhaps any of the English bowlers did on this wicket.
I thought Wokes was fantastic. I do think the wicket has changed. I think it's become easier to bowl. It looks like if you hit back of a length, it's very difficult to score as long as you're good at your lines. And Jofra was a little bit wayward. You know, there were really bad balls, just 5 or 6 bad balls. But even after that, he was incredible from over 3.
I think they were with the lines. I think length. I feel like Taskin has just found a very good length on this wicket in a way that maybe outside of Wokes the others didn't. This is defended back down the crease. Milan is taken off. Taskin Ahmed, who's a very good athlete, gets across that quickly, throws it, hits Malan backside, I think. It might have been in his back. It was an interesting choice of a run there, but Will Jackson was adamant that there wasn't a run, of which there was not. 70 for 4 here on TalkSport. Yeah, if you just remember, just early on, I just felt that England they went with the short ball a little bit more than perhaps Bangladesh has done. And outside of Wokes, I just felt there wasn't, even remember when Wood came back on and he kept bowling knee roll length, right? He wasn't getting it up. He wasn't getting the same kind of length that Taskin Ahmed has been getting. But it could just be that the wicket's harder to play on. It does feel the longer the day has gone, the harder it is to bat against spin and pace.
Yeah, and maybe observation is skewed as well. You made a great point about if Taskin was Australian or English, we'd be raving about him. And I think guys from lesser countries and also from countries where conditions are not good for fast bowling, we maybe tend to overlook them a little bit. But certainly in terms of what we've seen today, all the world-class bowlers on show, you're right. I think he's been the best so far for his 5 overs that he's bowled.
Shakib around the wicket to Will Jackson. Doesn't spin. He set him up for that ball, I think, but Will Jackson's managed to cut it away from the off bail, and it has gone for 4. And Shakib is in a heap on the wicket. Cannot believe that hasn't bowled him. He thought he'd snuck that one through, and Will Jackson's probably got away with that one there, but he got a 4, and he did need some runs as well.
Iconic Shakib Hassan reaction. Sort of goes down on both knees in disbelief.
It was off the middle of the bat, I should point. He did cut it late and with a straight bat, but it was off the middle. Next one is defended by Will Jackson. Very similar
to the one that Jason Roy got away in the first over. The one that sort of cramps you for room, that keeps coming back at you. But they've both played it well. They've watched the ball, let it come under their eyes, and taken it off stump, almost behind the crease.
Jacks again facing Shakib around the wicket. Low arm action, and he up pushing this off the back foot from about halfway up the stumps, but he middles it straight to short cover. No run.
Lovely sack, lovely sack. Keep going now, keep going
Yeah,
now, boys.
Mushfiqur loves to chat. Oh, this is a good ball. Again, he's playing off the back foot, Jax. That was the straight one. It was a little bit quicker. Inside part of the bat, he was trying to hit that on the offside and went to short mid-wicket for no run.
It's Shakib, the craft of Shakib. You know, that's the one again that slides on. You're looking for the one that turns, and it just catches the shiny side of the ball and it skids on. And that's how he gets the majority of his wickets on the inside.
This one's overpitched and takes the outside part of the bat as he drives it, Jax, but goes up to long off for one run. The interesting thing is, like, watching him, he's stuck on the crease. And I would say that about 90% of Shakib's wickets in international cricket is guys who are stuck on the crease. You really have to either come forward or go back to him, which sounds silly because it's kind of the case with all spinners. But he is literally bowling for that dismissal where you don't move your feet. Oh, this is down the leg side. Mushfiqur has appealed, and the umpire's given a wide, which is a pretty brutal not out. It was pushed down the leg side. It was quicker. I didn't think there was anything on it. It might have flipped the pad, of course, but I didn't think
I'm pretty certain it clipped the thigh pad on the way through, and you can see Shakib, Tamim calling for cool. Shakib seeing the red mist there. That's a very poor decision from the umpire, and he's aggrieved to have a wide called against him there.
Yeah, Mushfiqur looked like he wanted to review that wide. 76 for 4. This is flatter, spins a little bit, and Malan plays it off the back foot, knocks it on the head, down to long on, and they take a single. Required run rate 4.43 here on Talk Sport 2. 77 for 4. Jax is on 9, Malan is on 35, and Shakib has 1 for 21 from his 5. You would have faced Shakib a fair bit.
Well, I was going to come back to your point. I can't recall specifically, but I think, you know, the arm speed's really important. So you're getting cues from the bowler the whole time. Your mind's telling you that it's coming out really slow, and then of course it skids as it hits the surface, and it's different. It's not what you're used to facing. So your feet don't want to go forward. You think you need to wait for the ball, and like you rightly say, that's how he catches a lot of people as well. Same as Rashid Khan. You know, he always catches people on the crease or does them on the inside when they're not moving their feet. But again, what you see coming over, the arm speed in that, and what you get, the speed that the ball's coming out, if you don't face them regularly, it does catch you off guard the first few times you face them.
Bowling change here. Mustafiz Rahman is coming on. I think the other thing is that there aren't many specialist finger spinners in the world who bowl with such a round arm. So it's something you see from like Darren Lehman type part-timers, Keshav Yadav. Do you know what I mean? And so getting a specialist bowler who he kind of looks like a part-timer. It's just that his deliveries are not part-time quality. They're obviously, you know, top-level deliveries.
There's very little action or momentum in his action. He sort of ambles up and everything looks slow.
It's almost jerky in a way. It's a really, really interesting approach to the crease. But we've got Mustafiz for his first over of the day, and he's going to be bowling to Dawud Malan. This is outside off stump length, and Malan does not move his feet. That zips past the outside edge and did have good carry. Mushfiqur took it on his right hip from a length there, and that one just went through. I don't think it was a cutter. Did roll his fingers on it, but it seemed to go through at a decent pace to me.
Yeah, it's like the seams come out all scrambled. Maybe just the change in angle, the change in action has just caught him off guard there a little bit, but you certainly don't want to be playing back to that, especially with the line that's come through.
Malan just looking at the wicket a little bit suspiciously. Mustafiz comes in again. This time he does defend Malan right under his eyes. Pushed out on the offside. There's no run there.
Jared, for all the sort of attention that England get as an ODI side, and rightly so, you know, they've been fantastic since 2016 when they turned things around. They've got very few players currently in the top spots of certainly of the batting of the ICC rankings, and I know that's not the be-all and end-all. You know, obviously
you were pretty high on those lists, though.
Yeah, but like I said, I think those are skewed because of I don't feel that they match up the opposition well enough.
This is full, and he plays this off the back foot in the end, out to deep point, and there's one run.
Even so, there should be some representation of a top team. You'd expect to see a couple of their players.
I can tell you why they're not higher up.
Go on,
they basically haven't played any one-dayers since 2019 World Cup. So those rankings really work on how many games you play and then how you bank up your points. And so you would probably know when you went up the rankings, you can have a couple of lower strike rate games where you score a lot of runs, and it goes on the amount of runs that you've made in a couple of games back to back.
You're going to have to explain to me then how Viv Richards is still the all-time great. Still got the highest ranking here. I don't think he's played a game for 30 years. I know what you mean. I know that's a different...
The all-time one is actually really, really bizarre. I'll tell you why. Mushfiqur comes in, and this ball is pitched outside leg stump and is pushed to cover point, and there is no run because it works on your peak. And David Gower is on that list, and I'm pretty sure David Gower averaged 29 in ODI cricket. Even in that era, not a particularly high average. So it just goes on peak. And the reason that Viv Richards is always at the top is because he averaged, for 2 or 3 years, I want to say 82 to 84-ish, he averaged about 60 at a strike rate of 90-something. No one else was even averaging 40 at that point. Oh, it's caught and bowled. No, he's dropped it. He scooped this straight back to him as Will Jacks. And Mushfiqur has... not Mushfiqur. Mushfiqur would have... He's quick. He's not that quick to get from behind the stump. But the Fizz has put his hands up here. It was a slow ball, and it was scooped back to him. He had to protect himself in the end.
Come back quickly.
It goes down as a drop, but he was protecting his life, because that would have hit him in the face, I think, if he'd not done that. But it's a half chance, at least, there.
It was hit firmly. Would have been a very good effort to take that catch. He's not the best fielder as it is.
The Fizz, slow ball, very slow this time. Outside off stump, push to point, and there is no run. 78 for 4 here on TalkSport 2. And Guy Swindles is going to be taking over the commentary after you hear from Ryan Tendescata. Oh, unless Tendo's leaving as well. Everyone's leaving. Guy's going to speak. You speak, Guy. Put your microphone on, Guy.
I must remember to do that. That would be useful. Well, what an intriguingly positioned match this is now. That wicket of Butler has changed things. Will Jacks is struggling a little, it must be said, at the moment to come to terms with this particular pitch. Been impressed by Dawood Malan, his ability to put a fizzing ball that's done everything but bowl in behind him, and then actually go and just face the next ball on its merits. But it's taken him 62 balls to get to 36. England's current run rate less than 4 and over, but they only require a run rate of 4.54 from now on to win this match. But the wickets will be the issue. England do bat a long way down. Mark Wood, who's no mug with the bats, number 11. But they might well need everybody. 132 runs needed from 29 overs at 4.55. It's Tejul to bowl. 2 for 30 so far from his 5 overs. Malan, who came in at number 3, is facing. And there's a big shout for LBW. An extraordinarily large shout for LBW. But I think I was a bit surprised that they were quite so keen on that one.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it looks like it just got an impact outside the off stump. The ball was turning. It probably would have hit the stumps. But we'll have to wait and see if they go for the review. But yeah, the ball is turning quite a bit. So yeah, not an easy decision for the umpire. And once the umpire gives it a not out, it's very unlikely that it's going to be overturned by the third umpire.
And indeed, the skipper has decided he won't push that one upstairs. There are 2 reviews remaining for either side. In again, and that's flicked away into the leg side. They're going for 1. They think about a second, but 3 fielders converge at once, and they decide quite rightly discretion is the better part of valour and just take the single. But Malan, as we have another look at the possible LBW shout, certainly Tejul was very keen on it.
It looked like it was missing leg stump because of that turn and extra bit of bounce as well. We have seen the spinners are getting a lot of bounce, and a lot of times the ball's just going over the stumps. Probably a very good decision. As a bowler, you're always excited. Hence, Tejul was so excited, and we're just getting to see where the ball ended up. We're just watching it on the replay. Yeah, clearly missing the stumps and going over the stumps as well.
Yes, Hawkeye certainly believes the ball is going to bounce quite high on this from what we've seen so far. Oh, and Will Jacks was going to go forward, then he went back, then he tried to push the ball into the offside. He missed it, but fractionally missed it. Certainly the wicketkeeper was very excited for a second, but Will Jacks survives. 9 from 21 so far. And this is driven on the up, but nicely, very nicely. They should get a couple. Shanto does well. In the end, though, they only take the one, which surprises me, because they did certainly look as if there were two there.
Yeah, there's been outstanding on the field. He got to the ball very quickly and managed to release it pretty quickly as well. Yeah, you've got to give it to the fielder, but it definitely looked like there was two. But some excellent fielding from Bangladesh. They've been live. They're very, very good on the field so far.
80 for 4. Malan is forward defensively, back to the bowler, just smothering the spin and playing the forward defensive, trying to work out exactly when he can attack, when he can push down the accelerator. At the moment, it is very tough in the face of some really good spin bowling. That's flicked around the corner, but Jacks backed up very quickly indeed and saw that the short third backward point man was far enough back that he could go through for a single. Also gets him off the strike as well. There are 3 singles from that over. After 22 overs, England 81 for 4 here on TalkSport 2. Malan 38 not out from 66 deliveries, and Jacks 10 from 22. And it's tough scoring quickly out there, Abby.
It's not been easy, and because of some excellent fielding, and the bowling has been pretty good. They've been right on the money. They bowl wicket to wicket. There's been a hint of turn, so it's not been easy. Malan again playing a very, very smart innings here. He's given himself a bit of time, though. Yeah, he could have improved on his strike rate a little bit, but as the game progresses, probably we will see that he goes a bit more attacking, takes a bit more chances, but he's doing exactly what was needed. They needed a partnership after losing those 2 quick wickets, and once the captain departed, they needed to steady the ship a little bit, and that's exactly what they have done, Jacks and Malan.
Mustafa Zur into bowl. Bowled very well in his 1 over so far. Did well to protect himself. It will go down as a drop caught and bowled, but it saved his face being rearranged as Malan takes a good quick single, punching it to mid-on, who did well but was far enough back that the two could get through comfortably in the end for that single. Malan onto it quite quickly and immediately into his stride, immediately calling Jacks through for the single. So he knows how important it is to rotate the strike and indeed keep the scoreboard ticking over. If you need 4.5 runs and over, you can do it in singles. Jacks plays that firmly to a deep backward point position where there is no run.
You'll see a lot of cutters and slow deliveries from Mustafa Zur. His average speed has been around 129 kilometers, the fastest 137. So he does like to mix things up. Natural deliveries to just go cutters and a lot of back of the hand slow ball. He's got a very good Yorker as well.
He really does mix his paces. Oh, and that's hit into the air. Is there a fielder there? I think it will go more than safe. I think that actually hit the boundary sponge, in which case it's 6. Just seeing whether it's a 6 or a 4. I think at the moment it's been given as a 4. I didn't realise he got as much of that, as the ball just kept going and going and going. We're just seeing the replay now. It's a 6.
It's modern day bats.
It's extraordinary.
Else,
I thought,
yeah.
I was looking for the catch at mid-off.
Yeah, when he played that shot, his hand turned on the handle as well and still managed to get it all the way to the... Yeah, for a 6. Terrific. It was a bit full. It was in the slot. Good cricket.
And indeed, he got it. He knew he'd got enough of it to clear that fielder, but a little bit of a risk. But Will Jacks has to start doing that, and he's got the bowler to just change his direction as well. And he's gone for 4 this time. The ball was on leg stump. It was there to be hit, and Jacks was on it very quickly indeed. And this will help ease the pressure. 6 and 4, 10 from 2 deliveries. Malan is down to have a chat with him and presumably to say well done as well, but Mustafa Zur will be disappointed with that delivery. But after you've been hit for 6, gets in your head.
It was a magnificent shot though. He just timed it so very well. You didn't expect the ball to race to the boundary so quickly. There was a deep square leg fielder.
Bowler is in once again, and suddenly Will Jacks is playing with a confidence that we haven't seen so far before in this particular innings, and he's raced on now to 21 from 26 after barely being able to lay bat on ball for the early part of the innings. But well played, Will Jacks.
You're always under pressure when you're making your debut in a new condition, in a subcontinent where he hasn't really played a lot of cricket. So you need to assess the pitch, you need to assess the bowlers, what they are trying to do, and those 2 boundaries will definitely give him a lot of confidence going into this innings. Yeah, he's looking good now. He's timed the last 3 deliveries pretty well.
Certainly has. There is 1 ball left of this, the 23rd over. Malan will face it. And Malan tries to play the little dab, the dangerous dab down to third man, and avoids edging off to the keeper. But there is no run. 12 off the over though, just what England needed. They take their score after 23 overs to 93 for 4. Malan 39 not out. Jacks, after taking 11 off that over, has moved to 21. And things looking brighter for England here on TalkSport 2. As I have to say that when Joss Buttler went, England would have been concerned.
Absolutely. We all felt that, it could get very difficult for England once Buttler was out, but these two have really batted well. They've steadied the ship. It's just about partnership. We often talk about how crucial it is in white ball cricket or any form of cricket really to have those partnerships. You don't need to have those 100, 150 run partnership, but a 50, 60 run partnership can make all the difference in the outcome of the game, especially when you're chasing a total of 210.
You're absolutely right, and Bangladesh had just the 150 partnership, which meant that the momentum couldn't really gather.
And we knew it from the start that if Bangladesh wants to win this game, they have to get England all out. It's unlikely that they're going to bowl 50 overs and England will not be able to get those 111. So if they want to make a comeback into this game, they need a couple of wickets quickly. That can again turn the tides toward their side.
Absolutely, but at the moment, England hanging on in there. We're just having a drinks break at the moment, so things just quietening down. Also a bit of treatment for Will Jacks' hand. Will Jacks, who's now played all his international cricket in the subcontinent, he made his test debut in the Pakistan series, where he had one match where he took five wickets in an innings as well, I seem to remember. But he does bat very well as well. Another of England's spinning all-rounders. And that's nicely played out into the covers, through the 2 fielders in the circle, out to the sweeper, and they can go through for an easy single. And that seems to have Jack's confidence seems to have jumped with that 6. Since then, he's looked a different batsman.
It just takes a 1 or 2 shot really, and then you suddenly feel at ease, you feel comfortable out there. And now he's faced 27 deliveries, so he's got a good assessment of the pitch as well, knows exactly what's happening.
Oh, and there's a big swing by Malan. He misses it. There is a shout for LBW, but neither bowler or wicketkeeper were fully committed to that particular appeal. And looking at it, you can see why. It was missing leg by some distance. That one is punched off the back foot into the offside very nicely by Malan. See whether they can get back for 2. They can very comfortably indeed, and it's a nice shot by Malan, who takes him into the 40s. And as England's most experienced batter, well, Moeen Ali's to come as well, but outside those 2, a lot riding on Malan's shoulders at the moment, and that is turned around the corner with a combination of bat and pad, but there is someone fielding in that short third man position to ensure that there is no run. Tajul in again, and that's flicked away to the right of the man at that backward point, short, fine leg position, and so they can go through for an easy single. Just the one ball left in this 24th over now. And these two have settled the ship after England were left really rocking at 65 for 4. Now put on 32 for this partnership. And again, it's a thick outside edge this time by Jacks, but he knew it was a safe shot to play because there was no slip there, and in fact it's run all the way for 4. So Jacks has another boundary to take his score on to 26 from 28. Jules looks as if he's been well, he doesn't think that life is terribly fair currently, having seen that thick edge go for 4. But well played by Jacks again.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt if you can edge it for 4, there's no need to middle it for single. So
nicely put.
Yeah, so yeah, he edged it perfectly. And also in modern day cricket, in white ball cricket, you get majority of your runs. If you edge the ball, you always end up getting a boundary because first of all, you can't set a field for it, and it goes in very, very random places, the edges. So yeah, good cricket, good partnership.
Yep. And it did look as if he was perfectly happy to take on that edge on that one, Will Jacks, knowing there was no slip and the ball was wide-ish. So here we are, nicely set after 24 overs, coming to the halfway point in England's innings. They're on track, you would feel, as far as runs are concerned, on 101 for 4 here on TalkSport 2. Although they will be concerned by the wicket column, just the 4 with the forward wickets down. But fascinatingly poised. Who would you make favourites at the moment, Abby?
I mean, it has to be England. With the batting depth they still have, they can bat very deep. Everyone can come and score a few runs. And with these two out there, having a nice partnership.
Mustafizir in again, and that's played nicely out into the covers in a defensive manner by Malan. The fielder comes in and ensures there will be no run. And at the moment, Bangladesh's bowlers keeping the ball in places that making England work very hard for their runs. It's been a disciplined performance by the Bangladesh bowlers.
Yeah.
Mustafizir in again, and it sounded like there was a little edge on that, but it bounced in front of the wicketkeeper, who has a rueful smile. Just didn't carry, but I do think that Malan may have got a little edge on that one.
Yeah, he did definitely get a outside edge. Very lucky that the ball didn't carry. So again, from England's point of view, they don't have to do anything extraordinary here. They can just rotate the strike, take those 1s and 2s, run hard, and the odd boundaries will always come. You'll always get those deliveries where you can score a boundary. It just needs to stay there and get a partnership going.
This time it's played out into the leg side, but straight to the fielder. Now it's short mid-wicket. We're just seeing the ultra edge, which shows, just as Abby said, he definitely did get a nick through. But luckily for Malan, it fell short of the keeper, and he will survive. Raheem was certainly interested, though, for a while there, before the ball dropped in front of him. Bowlers in again. It was wide, but a clever, slower delivery that had Malan playing the shot almost before the ball got to him, and then looped up over his bat. But frustrating for the batsman, but clever bowling.
Yeah, he's got such fast arm action that it's very hard to pick his slow deliveries as a batter. And he bowls a lot like, you play a lot of tennis ball cricket in the subcontinent. You'll play a lot of tape ball cricket, and that's where you use that sort of a delivery to disguise the batter. But he does it with the hard ball as well, which is great skills. You don't see many bowlers bowling a slow delivery the way Mustafizir does. He's got his own way of delivering it.
That was a beauty. Malan this time sees the short ball and tries to pull it, but no timing at all, and it just goes off the bottom edge to that short mid-wicket position again, and there is no run. So this has been a very good over from Mustafizir at the moment, and a frustrating one for Dawood Malan, having just seen Will Jacks get the scoreboard ticking over again. It's been a frustrating over for the England number 3. But this time it's on or around leg stump. He can flick it round the corner. It'll only be a single. But at least Malan has middled the ball, which he didn't do a lot in that particular over.
You just feel that he's itching to go. He's going to do something here. He's going to try and take a chance where he's going to play a big shot. If it comes off, that'll be perfect. If it doesn't, then yeah, there's a chance of Bangladesh picking up a wicket. And you can sense it a little bit, the way he's going. He's a bit frustrated. He can't time the ball perfectly as he would like. And if your partner from the other end is hitting 4s and 6s for fun, then it gets a bit more difficult.
Absolutely. So England at the moment hanging on in there. This the first of 3 one-day internationals that you will be able to hear every ball on Talk Sport 2. Second one is also in Mirpur in 2 days' time, on the 3rd of March on Friday, and then on Monday the 6th as well. You'll be able to hear the 3rd one-day international. England 102 for 4 after 25 overs, so we're at the halfway point of the England innings here on Talk Sport 2. And England require another 108 in the second 25 overs. Spin again, and that's punched away by Malan to the deep cover sweeper, and Afif does the business. Mahidi is the bowler, 0 for 18 so far as he starts his 6th over.
I don't think the wicket column does justice the way he has bowled so far in this match. I think for me he's been the peak of the bowlers. He's bowled really well. He's mixed things up nicely. He's turned the ball more than any other bowler. He's got them to go through with the arm as well, so he's got some lovely variations, subtle variations in his bowling, Mehdi. And he was the game changer against India as well. He's won 2 games single-handedly against India.
That's very true, and of course also Will Jacks was looking increasingly comfortable against the medium paces, so to bring on a bit of spin against which he was struggling earlier, no bad plan. However, he drives that very nicely up to mid-off, but he almost hits it so well that there's no chance of a single. Mahidi in again, and this time going back. Will Jacks punches it to mid-wicket, and there is no run. He's slightly cross with himself. He felt he had time to place that better rather than straight to the fielder. And this has gone up in the air. How far has it gone? It's gone into arms and the hands of the fielder. And just as Abhi was saying, Mahidi deserved a wicket. He gets one. And Will Jacks has gone for 26 of 31 balls, and England are 103 now for 5.
And you can sense the pressure building. I was expecting Davi Malan to play the big shot, but Will Jacks feeling the pressure from the other end as well, because Davi Malan played quite a few dot deliveries, and that's what dot deliveries can do in 50-over cricket, and that's how you build pressure. You try and squeeze the batter, and eventually they will play a poor shot. You know, that wasn't there to hit that shot. It was short, but not short enough to go aerial, and he's paying a heavy price for it. Will Jacks out for 26, but very smartly bowled by Mehdi again.
It was, and it was nicely taken in the deep by Afif, who set himself well and took what in the end was a comfortable catch. Well, cometh the hour, cometh Moeen Ali to try and dig England out of the hole that they currently find themselves in. 103 for 5. Malan is still there, playing the anchor role. Very well indeed, it must be said, but he's running out of people at the other end. But we've seen Moeen come in similar situations before, and a very, very handy man to have coming in at number 7.
Oh, absolutely. He's a terrific cricketer. He's done exceptionally well over the years for England, and to be honest, to the leagues around the world he has been part of, he's done very, very well. But again, this is still a pressure situation. They need 4.4 and over on a pitch which hasn't been easy to bat on. But with all his experience, strike rate of 100 in international cricket, average, he would want it a bit better than that.
But that's coming in at 7, isn't it?
Exactly.
You're always in a hurry.
Yeah. You always want to play those big shots. You often don't get enough overs under your belt to play those big innings.
Well, Will Jacks realising that he needed to try and keep things going. Holds out in the deep on the swivel. And now it's Mahidi to Moeen Ali. Ali plays soft hands into the covers and goes through for an easy single in the end and gets off the mark first ball. And that's also something to think about. Rather than always trying to hit the cover off the ball, just drop it and go.
Yeah, that was very smart cricket, especially when you're playing your first delivery. Just opening the face ever so slightly to find that gap between the pointer and extra cover fielder. And that's just smart cricket. And with all the experience he has over the years, he's always going to be able to maneuver those 1s and 2s. And that's why he's been such an important player for England.
Oh, and there is turn. And Malan is beaten on the outside. And a lovely delivery. It wasn't quick. It almost turned slowly, but it turned a long way. And Malan, who was looking for the drive, suddenly saw the ball turning past his outside edge. And good bowling again from Mahidi, as you were saying earlier, Abby. He's turning it for fun out there at the moment. And it's another dot ball, it's another over gone. 104 now for 5 here on TalkSport 2. Malan, 44 from 80 deliveries. Moeen has 1 from the single delivery he has faced. I think Andrew McKenna will be joining us in an over or so. But at the moment, it's Abby and I seeing you through and watching England struggle.
I mean, see, that's why it's such an amazing game, cricket. We were a couple of overs back, we were discussing that how nicely England were placed.
Yes.
And it's such a seesaw affair. 1 wicket changes everything in cricket, and that's the beauty of this game. And suddenly if they can manage to get 1 more, then they're right at top. And then England's really chasing the game, they're really struggling. But yeah, this partnership again becomes so crucial for England to be able to cross that line.
Mustafa in again. And Moeen Ali punches this backward of square. And they go through for another very, very comfortable single. Good play from Moeen Ali. He's looked immediately pretty comfortable since coming out. A reminder, double-header of live and exclusive Premier League action across the TalkSport network tonight. Here on TalkSport 2, we've got Liverpool against Wolves from 8 o'clock. While over on TalkSport, it's Arsenal against Everton. Important at the top and bottom of the table at 7:45, and that's down the leg side and should be a wide and is a wide. So a bonus run and a bonus ball as far as England are concerned. Haven't bowled many wides, I don't think, so far. Bangladesh, that's only the second wide that's been bowled. England, there were 26 extras in the Bangladesh innings, including 4 no balls, quite a lot of wide. So it's been a very disciplined performance as Mustafa comes in again, and it's just helped round the corner by Malan. He didn't really look to launch it, and it bobbles along to fine leg, and there is plenty of time to potter through for the single. Mustafa it's still warm in Bangladesh. Certainly the bowlers, you can see the effort they're having to put in. Moeen Ali looking as cool as a cucumber. Now waits ready to face Mustafa Oh, and that's another really clever, slower cutter of a delivery that just goes past Moeen Ali's off stump. It's an absolute beauty, and this change of pace has completely thrown Moeen Ali, and I can understand why the bowler looks quite so disappointed after that delivery. It did everything but bowl the England batsman.
Yeah, Moeen Ali was expecting a lot more bounce on that occasion.
And there is more bounce on this occasion, and it's played off middle into the leg side, And again, with the soft hands that Moeen Ali at the moment is using, there are plenty of time to trot through for a single before the fielder can get and gather the ball.
And this is exactly what he does. With all his experience, just he knows the importance of ones and twos. The time will come where he'll be able to hit those boundaries pretty easily. But at the moment, he's just assessing the pitch, just seeing what the bowlers are trying to do, and just try and watch it as much as he can from the non-striker end. Let Davi Malan, who's set, do the scoring.
Malan cuts away a delivery that was short and actually had a bit of pace on it. But the man out at deep cover can ensure that no more than a single. There's one more ball to come. Yeah, no, it's funny watching Moeen Ali bat, because he'll suddenly start hitting sixes from nowhere. He gets in, and then suddenly the ball is flying to every corner if he's in that zone that he hits sometimes.
Yeah, I think I would love to see them bring the left arm spinner, where you know that he's going to try and take a chance. If he can pick up a wicket, that's going to be an absolute bonus and really put England on the back foot. Because the moment he sees left arm spinner, he is going to go for it. He's that sort of a player. So it'll be interesting to see what bowlers they bring on after this over.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Mustafa Zir has bowled beautifully without much luck so far. But he did see his co-bowler pick up a wicket in the last over. He's in again, and that's bat and ball with Moeen Ali. It was left arm seamer to left hand bat, and that squirts out onto the onside. They take another single. So in the end, they managed to get 6 runs from that over, 5 singles and a wide. 110 for 5 England now after 27 overs. They need another 100 from 23 overs. But the next few overs will be in the company of Andrew McKenna, who will be joining you after Abby's had a word.
I mean, if you look at the runs, 100 runs, they should be able to do it. It's just the wicket column. If they're 5 down, if they lose another one, then they're into their bowlers, which won't be that easy given the conditions, given the bowling. Bangladesh have bowled really, really well. And Mehendi has bowled exceptionally well in this game so far and keeping things really, really tight.
Well, game on. 100 needed. And it's 138 balls to get them. It feels like the game is largely all about David Malan. If David Malan stays there till the end, England win. 46 from 82. If Malan goes, there's Wokes, Rashid, Archer and Wood to come. Mehendi to bowl is 7th. Right arm around the wicket off spin, gives that one a little bit of air. It's coming forward. Moeen Ali pushes into the cover region. Afif will do the fielding, and there is no run.
Yeah, I like the field placement. There's a catching extra cover, and there is an extra cover just behind him. There's a cover behind him to stop that single. They don't want to give easy single to Moeen here.
Mehendi around the wicket again, an arm ball. It's Moeen Ali just watching it, allowing it to go through to the keeper, and there is no run.
That was a good delivery. Just again undercutting the delivery, going with the arm. Moeen Ali didn't expect it to spin, judged it perfectly.
Mehendi is in. That one's round about middle and leg stump, turned through square leg for a comfortable single by Moeen. England 111 for 5. Moeen 5 from 8. Malan 46 from 82. England is now down to 2 digits. 99 needed from 135 balls. It is TalkSport 2, this series exclusively live here on TalkSport 2 on your DAB digital radio via the website or the app. David Malan coming forward to the next delivery from Mehendi around the wicket, drives out to the cover sweeper on the offside. Single taken. All England need to do, just keep getting those ones, and when the bad ball comes along, put it away.
I mean, from a Bangladesh point of view, they've got to do something different in terms of field placement. They've got to get their mid-on up and ask the batter to go aerial.
Moeen Ali doesn't on this occasion. Mehendi is around the wicket. He's just coming forward and playing quietly out on the offside.
So they've got to be a bit more attacking, especially against Moeen Ali, who's just come in, who's on 5 of 9 deliveries. Just invite him to play those big shots.
Moeen come forward, taken on the pant by Mehendi, but it's going down the leg side. and strangled appeal, so nothing happening there. 112 for 5 after 28 overs. England need 98 from 132 balls. Just a reminder, of course, there's football for you this evening as well. A couple of games for you. One on TalkSport, one on TalkSport 2. So you've got your choice of listening to get your DAB radio fired up. Or the app. If you're on the app, it's nice and easy. You simply swipe left or right between TalkSport and TalkSport 2 for whatever you want for your live sport. And don't forget, of course, the Cheltenham Festival is on its way next month. And every race on the card will be live across the TalkSport network. So David Malan is on strike. 47 not out. Referee's one blow away from his 4th one-day international 50 for England. 300s and 350s so far for David Malan. He came into this game averaging 53.7 with a best of 134, so he's virtually at that average once again. England's Mr. Consistent at the moment. And Taskin, the right arm seamer, is going to come in and bowl to him, opening in the blade. He's hit it straight to point. Throw at the stumps at the striker's end. Moeen Ali would have been out by 1.5 meters, but the throw misses the timbers. There, well, it was a tight, let's be generous and call it a tight single for David Malan. He's pushed it straight to the fielder and said yes. The keeper's got no chance of getting up, and Mehedi's throw, he had time to settle himself, and he's just to the left of the stumps. About 1.5 stumps width is what he had to aim at, but Mehedi not able to remove Moeen Ali, and it's 113 for 5. Alex Tudor, if your kids at school did that, you wouldn't have been best pleased, pushing them running for that.
Yeah, sort of hands on the old hips on that one.
Taskin in once again, beats Moeen Ali on the outside edge. It bounces just in front of the wicketkeeper though, as it dies again for pace. 113 for 5 it remains.
It just looked like I will get in my end. Not really worried about how you're getting in your end. It was a very badly judged run. It was shocking, to be fair, and he's very lucky that it didn't hit the stumps. You know, England are trying to rebuild. They need his partnership to continue. The last thing they would have needed is Moeen walking back, but he's not. He's still there, and he marches on.
If you're doing cricket practice in your lunch break at Kinbolton School, Mr. Tudor would not approve if you're doing that, by the way. Taskin on his way, right arm over, short ball to Moeen Ali. Good short ball as well. It was a bit loopy in terms of the bounce, but Moeen had to jag the head back, and it is safely negotiated. Well, there's plenty still in this game, Tudes.
Yeah, plenty still in this game, and just to say, Macca, the kids at Kimbolton, they know they might have got the death stare, or if you're out, you walk out the other end of the bit. Do not walk towards the pavilion if I'm there. No, I'm joking. No, it'll be fine. But listen, it's all learning experiences, isn't it, for the young ones? But you think it's someone of an experience of David Malan would have been able to judge a better single than that.
97 needed by England as Taskin goes in. It's again a shortish ball, round about chest high, inside edge from Moeen Ali onto his chest, and it just dribbles out on the offside, and there is no run.
Just impressive, aren't they, Macca, though, as a unit. Bangladesh, as you said, they're formidable at home, and you could just see why. They know conditions really well. They field well. Bowlers know what they're doing, bowl to the conditions, they mix up their pace. And then England not finding it easy. There's always going to be a difficult mini-series, this, proving to be the case.
Yeah, they've won 8 of their last 10 on this ground. Taskin goes in, short of a length. Moeen Ali just stays and stands nice and tall, plays to mid-off, and there is no run.
And I think, you know, when they first came into international cricket, you know, sort of the whipping boys, weren't they? But cricketing people knew that just give them time. There's just too much cricket that they love out there. Just get the right conditions, the right people around them. They're only going to grow, and they have, and we're seeing the fruits of it now. Very, very good side.
Yeah, absolutely. One ball left in this 29th over. England 113 for 5, trying to make 210 to go 1-0 up in this series. Taskin arrives, delivers right arm over, forward defensive from Moeen Ali. End of the over, no run, 29 gone, 113 for 5. The other thing from Bangladesh point of view is they're quite happy to go out and get a coach. I mean, I don't think we've actually mentioned so far today, Alan Donald, currently working with this group. And in a way, you almost think to yourself, well, spinners are going to do so much of the bulk of the work and they're high quality spinners. But the seamers have to be able to do a job as well, and it's not good enough for them to just sort of run up and dob it on a spot. And as a result, you go out and get quality fast bowling coaching for people like Taskin, because he has to be able to do his part of the job as well.
Yeah, 100%. And we've seen some good seamers, haven't we, come through there? As we got Fizz bowling in this game. Murtasar, I think, the skipper before, you know, a very good seamer, played a lot of cricket. You know, they've had some good seamers come through, so it shows it's working. You know, the infrastructure, you know, they've got their own franchise now and they get the good players in and around their youngsters. It's only going to grow.
Well, Jared can nod or otherwise to confirm this, but I think I'm right in saying that the BPL is probably the highest paying league in the T20 competitions around the world. It certainly was at one point, reportedly. IPL probably still beats it. Start of a new over from Mehdi, around the wicket with his off spin. Malan playing back down the pitch, no run. Jared?
When it had private owners, it was really up there. Not quite at IPL levels, but really up there. And then the BPL took it back over, and no.
Ah, right, okay then. Mehdi around the wickets as David Malan pushes back down the pitch. No run.
That's not BPL. The BCB took it over, and it went from that stage. Andre Russell and Karan Pollard, they were all playing it. They don't play it as much anymore.
I wonder why that could be. Mehdi around the wicket, gives this one a little bit of air. It's a slightly open blade from David Malan as he pushes. Well, he's trying to find square cover, and it actually goes more sort of third manish as it slides off the open part of the blade. But again, there's no run. Mehdi's halfway through his 8th over, and he's taken 1 for 21. Off spinner is in once again, and David Malan almost chopped it onto his stumps. Inside edge, onto his boot, it dribbles out on the offside. And again, Mehdi is just putting it out there. It's a square seam delivery, as Gareth Batty would call it. It's a big old chunk of the inside edge that could easily go anywhere, and it just avoids stumps, thankfully, due to boot and leg. This occasion he's playing forward. Slip will gather no run shoots.
Well, he's got the luck with him at the moment, and he has to just, you know, make sure he continues, doesn't he? Just make sure he carries on, take it to sort of an 80 red for the team.
Mehdi around the wicket. Malan thought of coming forward, ends up playing it from the crease. And that is 30 overs complete with no run there. So 113 for 5 are England. So in the 10 over block, they've lost 1 wicket and scored 46. So 38 for 2 in the first, 49 for 2 in the second, and then 46 for 1 in the third. And after 30 overs, Bangladesh were 129 for 4. So 1 wicket less and 16 runs more. That's the equation at the moment. England need to score just under 4.9 and over to win from here. Moeen Ali's 5 not out. David Malan 48 not out. Here on TalkSport 2. Taskin will bowl the next over. Completely in darkness now. Mirport, floodlights full effect. And Moeen Ali waits, bat raised as Taskin comes in. He's going to bowl over the wicket. Short ball. Moeen Ali has a swing at that one. Now the keeper is going up for that, convinced he's heard something. He might just be trying to put the umpire off so he doesn't call a wide for height. And the umpire is indeed only going to say short ball, Tanvir Ahmed. So he's not going to stretch his arms for height on that one. So maybe it did work. And Taskin, that's not us turning up the effects, by the way. Taskin heard a bit of a chant and has just now started conducting the orchestra to try and get the crowd into this one.
Yeah, he's fired up, Macca. He's trying to get the crowd behind him as well. He's bowling an important spell here for his team. He's a good bouncer.
Taskin goes in again. Moeen Ali from the crease pushes into the covers. Well fielded by Lytton Das. No run. 113 for 5 it remains.
Bowling at mid-80s. That last ball at 84 mile an hour. It was a good bouncer. We always say aim for the, left-handed batter, the right ear. If it's a right-hander, the left ear, so it can only go one way, sort of towards fine leg. Don't want to bowl it too wide where they can sort of fetch it and hit you sort of deep mid-wicket to deep square. Make it only go one way. It was a good bouncer.
97 off 118 the equation. The last 3 overs have been singles. That's been it from an England point of view. Moeen Ali is not going to score anything off of this one. Taskin into the just back of a length, and Moeen from the crease just pushes it back down the pitch to the bowler, no run.
Yeah, he's been consistent. It was a hard length, hitting the stickers. Top splice of the cricket bat. It's a good length, not giving any room at all. Can't allow Moeen to free those arms so elegantly as he does on a regular occurrence. Taskin's very, very economical. Only gone for 9 so far. He's into his 7th.
Well, it's now at least 4 overs since England hit a boundary, which in one-day international cricket, in fact any cricket for England, seems a huge amount. Taskin in. That is full, and it's actually there's a bit of tail on that as well, a bit of shape. He's gone for the full Yorkerish ball, right arm over to the left-handed Moeen, and he just starts it to tail away from Moeen, and he pushes back down the pitch, no run. 113 for 5 it remains.
Yeah, he's enjoying his work. Taskin's got a smile on his face, can feel the crowd. I mean, he's working hard, he is dripping. He's putting in a fantastic effort for his skipper Tamin. Get a wicket now, we'll definitely put him way in front.
Where's Moeen looking for his scoring areas? Still 5 inside the ring, 3 on the offside, 2 on the on. And Taskin is on his way. Ratamo goes short ball. Moeen Ali, big swing through to the keeper. No edge on that one, but no wide either for Heights. That's the second one for the over. 113 for 5 it remains.
Yeah, just mixing up his length. It's a good bouncer, disguised well. He's got that flick of a wrist, a bit like Archer, so it's not easy to pick up. Surprising Mo, just mixing up his pace from a good length, just mixing up his bouncers. Really good, keeping the batters guessing.
A little bit surprised for Chira Paligaruga. The umpire at square leg didn't get a little bit twitchy about that one. He had no interest in calling that one wide whatsoever. And it wasn't quite James Anderson in the final over in New Zealand yesterday, but
Won't talk about that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Taskin to complete the over, a lowish full toss. Moeen Ali takes this on the full and clips it for 4. It looked as if it was going straight to the leg side sweeper, but actually it was wide of him, and England finished with a 4. And you can hear the sound difference. It's literally as if someone has just emptied the ground. All that is one boundary can make about 80 decibels of difference. England 117 for 5 at the end of 31 here on TalkSport 2. Moeen Ali has 9 and David Malan will be on strike next. He's on 48.
How many times, Mac, have you heard me as a bowler try and get out of your over? It was a fantastic 5 deliveries up to there. Just went searching, looked to try and get that Yorker in. Over pitched, and Moeen Ali's not going to miss out on that. Low full toss, Clippington's the deep mid-wicket, fantastic cricket shot. And just released the pressure. Would have been very good, as would have been back-to-back maidens.
Yeah, the man out on the leg side boundary was sort of quite square. You wonder if maybe he was a little bit too square, because I mean, Moeen did hit that well, but as it left the bat, you weren't thinking 4, were you? Anyway, that's by the by.
Well, especially, well, as you said, the decibels of the crowd. It was like being back at Canterbury again, sorry.
Once an Essex player or a Surrey player, it never leaves you, does it?
It will never go. I always remember when I was a young lad and I played down there, and they just didn't like the Brown Hatters at all, and they were telling me not to play for them and don't be like them, young boy.
Just seeing the replay of that last one from Taskin. He's definitely, again, there's a little bit of late shape, isn't there? And that could be interesting in terms of the development of this game. Of course, a white ball at each end, so they only have to do 25 overs apiece. Right, change of bowling, and Najmal Hossain Shanto is going to come in and bowl his off breaks. So another bowler into the mix, and he's just getting his field set up at the moment. He doesn't have a wicket in one-day international cricket, and he's gone at 4 and over. If memory serves, I think he might only have played, bowled in one previous one-day international. Well, his first ball is hit out to the cover sweeper by David Malan, and Malan goes to 49 from 91 deliveries. It brings Moeen Ali back on strike. So they've just done all that work setting the fields, and he will now come around the wicket. Moeen Ali looked as if he was going to launch this one, and then decided, no, I'm going to pull myself back on that, and actually then just guides it to square point, no run. So Shanto comes in, right arm around with his off break. That turns and takes a genuine edge of Moeen Ali's bat. There isn't a slip in place though, and it goes down to short third. Be interesting to see if there's somebody stationed there sooner rather than later, Tubes.
Yeah, for sure. I think as a captain, sometimes you've got to take you need wickets. The pressure is applied. Get a slip in there.
I suppose with a relative, well, there you go. Horse, stable, door bolted. Slip is now stationed. Will Moeen Ali find the edge again? In goes Shanto, slightly short. Moeen's able to play off the back foot out to the cover sweeper. And Tijal will do the fielding. Now, is the slip going to stay for David Malan? Doesn't look like it, no. So Malan, 49 not out from 91. England need 91 from 110 to go 1-0 up in this series. Shanto around the wicket to David Malan, who punches off the back foot, beats short extra cover, and it'll go down to Tamim Iqbal at long off, and a single will be taken, and David Malan has 50. 50 from 92, his 4th in one-day international cricket for England. He's also got 300s to his name, as I mentioned. But 92 balls, as I say, 1-4 and 2 sixes. Shanto to Moeen Ali, outside half of the bat. David Malan offers to come for a single if he wants it. Moeen Ali doesn't, and there is no run. 32 overs gone, 120 for 5. Some thoughts on that 50, Tubes?
Yeah, it was a bit scratchy in patches, but this is what he does. David Malan, he does extremely well for England when called upon. He always sort of in the discussion, does he get in the final 11? But all he can do and all he keeps doing is scoring runs, and then he's just passing it on to the captain and coach to make a decision. But any time you're thinking about you've got the players to come back, your Brook, Root, Bairstow, you've got the likes to come back. All he can do is score runs. It's a shop window for him. Go out there, score your runs, and then just leave it in the hands of everybody else. But all he can do is score the runs, and that's what he's done. Good 50 so far.
A terrible person would say, here's Jared Kimber at this point, because they've taken a drinks break. Here's Jared Kimber.
I think I got the drinks break before as well. I need to talk to the producers and work out how to stagger me better. I'm just looking at Shanto's bowling record in professional cricket. So he's played quite a bit of professional cricket now. For someone who's only 24, he's played well over 300 games of professional cricket, and he has 23 wickets. So he can bowl and has bowled before, and I've seen him bowl in the BPL, unless I saw him bowl internationally. But he doesn't bowl a lot, Tudes. It seems like an odd decision, because they've got other options available to them, don't they?
Yeah, and I think Tammy's just trying to mix it up a little bit, isn't it? You don't want to get familiarised. Obviously, Malan's been in for a while. He's just maybe just trying to change it up. He may bowl 1 or 2, so then at the back end, he can go back to his banker bowlers maybe.
Yeah, no, I get that, but they've got Mahmudullah, who can bowl.
Yes, yeah.
Unless he's injured, or I mean,
has he been bowling a lot recently though for them? I mean,
traditionally he used to be.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I mean, he was almost a frontline bowler for many years. I wouldn't say he's quite at that level anymore.
I think his batting sort of took over, didn't it? He started to get a lot of runs, didn't he? And maybe he just sort of...
I reckon he batted at number 9 once and made 100 for them, and after that they started to push him up more and more. But even so, you know, he hasn't stopped bowling. Let's have a look at how he's gone recently. Yeah, he hasn't been bowling much. Even in the BPL, I'm having a look. So, interesting they've gone with Shanto ahead of him. I don't know if that's an injury concern or what it is, but because that changes the makeup of their side a little bit. But they also have Afif Hussain, who can also bowl. But they're a bit like how Sri Lanka, everyone's a wicketkeeper. In Bangladesh, everyone's a finger spinner, right?
Oh, as you say, you know, in those conditions, they're always going to have options, aren't they? Because you've just got to learn how to take the wickets, and you know, you just don't want to be a one-trick pony. You want to have, you know, more strings to your bow, and that's why I'm always telling the young kids now: don't just be, oh, I only bat and that is it. You've got to be able to do everything. You've got to be able to field, bowl. You know, you can't hide. There's no hiding place now on the field. You know, players are hitting it 360. You've got to be able to just do more than what is your normal day job. So yeah, good to see him bowling, and we'll see how he goes. I mean, that's not too bad for a first start. Batted well as well.
So just having a look at Mahmood Abdullah's record, definitely started as a frontline spinner. There's absolutely no doubt of that. Last year he played 15 ODIs and bowled 11.2 overs. The year before he played 12 games and bowled 12.1. He just hasn't been bowling as much, really since 2018 in one-day cricket. And as I said, wasn't bowling in the BPL either. Malan, well, that's an interesting wagon wheel. Shoots, looks like a butterfly. Everything is between sort of square leg or backwards square and mid-on one side, and then third man and cover point on the other side.
It was beautifully put together, wasn't it? And then just 2 sixes there on the leg side as well. He's a good player. Always, when the discussion comes up about Malan, what does he do? He scores runs and creates headaches, and that's all he can do. And I always say about players, when you're on the periphery, you have to stake your claim, and he does that more often than not.
Yeah, we saw him in the first ODI against South Africa, made runs, and everyone was calling him a stat patter and everything, and then he went out and England lost. He's quite a handy player to have around because he consistently makes runs, and I think that's the most important thing. We all know that he gets a bit slow sometimes, although on this wicket, it's batting at a decent rate. No one cares about his strike rate here. He's 50 off 92. They just want to stay in, and he's facing Mahedi, who gets a leading edge, and it goes nowhere towards him. When was the last time you saw an international player mistime the ball so much that it didn't even go a metre in the air, did it?
Yeah. It does happen a lot with him, though, sometimes. He mistimes it a lot, but again, he scores runs.
Like he's playing with a piece of lettuce. Mahedi comes out and he flicks this to mid-on, takes the single. There's a throw in at the stumps, but they're always going to get in. Decided quite early to come down. Almost yorked himself at the end, but couldn't get it past mid-on, and so they just took the single. Moeen Ali back on strike. They got the off spinners at both ends now for the two left-handers. Mahedi has taken 1 for 22 from 8.2. Considering some of the deliveries he's taken, his figures are almost, some of the deliveries he's bowled, his figures are almost disappointing compared to the highlights package of some of the plays and misses. This ball's a little bit short, flicked away by Moeen Ali. It's a mistake from Mahedi. Got to get that ball up above Moeen Ali's eye line, and they take a single out to deep mid wicket.
Yeah, he just needs to get it a little bit fuller. Just drag that short, give him Mo 2 minutes time to just wait on the back foot and just place it where he wants, really.
Because it is slow on this wicket, you can't even be a little bit short, can you?
No. As Abhishek said, you know, good players a spin, they play it on the back foot.
It's outside off stump, and Malan gives himself room, and he smashes this over extra cover for 4. Just a classic Dawud Malan shot. Saw the ball go above his eye line, backed away a little bit to give himself that room, and executed perfectly.
When we talk about batters having their hitting zones, where's your boundary options? Well, this is one for David Malan. People that have seen a lot of David Malan play that sort of up and over cover, extra cover area. That way he elevates the ball, plays it very elegantly.
He's come down the wicket again and finally hits one straight. He kills that butterfly that we saw on his wagon wheel before, and he clears the rope for 6. Absolutely. That's even better than the last shot, actually.
And this is what happens, isn't it? You were saying that, you know, a couple of balls before he's in it like a lettuce with a piece of hand, and then all of a sudden the execution of these 2 shots are fantastic. Just a couple of skips down. Fantastically present the full face of the bat straight down the ground. 6 runs.
Before that, he had one boundary. He hit a 6 earlier over deep backward square, a sweep shot. Or actually, might have been even over mid-wicket. And he hadn't hit another one, and now he's hit a 4 and a 6 in 2 balls. Again, this is also what he does, right? He attacks at the right time. He's got his own speed. And this is defended to short cover, and there's no run. When England's trying to score 400 and 500, he looks a little bit slower than you want him to be. Doesn't look particularly slow here. 132 for 5 here on TalkSport 2 with Jared Kibber and Alex Tudor.
And this is why your point, saying that he's important to have, even if he might not make your strongest 11, depending on conditions. As I said, you don't want to be a one-trick pony as a side. And as you say, when you're chasing maybe a 250 and you don't need the 150, 170 strike rate, your David Milans are perfect to come in. You know, he's very settled. He seems like he's just relaxed at the crease, even though you said he doesn't get too overawed if he's not timing it well. But then he can go bang, bang, as he did in that over, and it just eases the pressure somewhat.
He's the Ben Folkes of the limited overs team. Just the one sensible head. Moeen Ali, 11 of 26. Dawood Malan, 61 of 97. CricViz has England as massive favourites even after they lost their 5th wicket. That last over, I think, does swing it back into their favour again. They need 78 from 102. But they're only a couple of wickets away from getting in trouble for sure. This was short at the bottom. Mustafiza, Moeen Ali gets inside the line and sort of gloves it, I think, perhaps down to fine leg, and they go through for a single.
Good to see Mustafiza back. You know, I remember when he first burst onto the scene, was causing people all sorts of problems. Went to the IPL for a lot of money, was doing well. Then I think a few injuries, people started to figure him out. Good to see him back.
I remember if it was his shoulder or his elbow. I think it was his elbow.
Yeah, I think elbow, possibly.
I'm trying to remember now. Mustafiza coming in again. Legged ball outside our stump, and he plays this on the move to Dawood Malan, but he misses it. Goes through to the keeper. No run. The sort of revolutions he puts on the ball, it at his pace, it just means that he's always going to be a problem. The only other bowler in history that we kind of have that puts as many revolutions on the ball at that pace was a guy called Bob Appleyard. Have you ever come across him, Jude?
I can't say I have.
He played for England, but he took he would get injured, miss a year, come back and take 150 wickets. Get injured and do it again and again, and he has an incredible record. But it's about 3 years where he was ever at his best. Short, outside, off stump, left alone by Dawood Malan. And the reason is if you're trying to bowl at your top pace and put revolutions on the ball, you're basically putting double the pressure on your arm.
Yeah, because he was swift when he first burst on. Then he was bowling near enough 90 mile an hour and doing what he was doing, which was causing problems for batters around the world. And as you said, his limbs were taking a battering, and he's not a big built lad. He's quite slight, and it just took a toll on his body. Yeah,
that first year he broke through. It's incredible having a look at how much cricket he played. This is he's flicked this in the air, but he's got the gap, Malan, between mid on and mid wicket. It's going to go away for 4. Just for a second, it looked like he might have spooned that to mid wicket. The Fizz cannot believe his luck. It was good timing from Malan, but he wasn't completely in control of that. In fact, that was closer to short mid-wicket than I thought, Judes. It was catchable height, and it didn't clear short mid-wicket by that much.
I would be fuming as a captain. I was like, never get beat on your inside. Yeah, if you've got sort of, mid-off and you're sort of mid-wicket region, can't let that go in between you. That's criminal.
Another boundary for Malan. So suddenly, there's boundaries everywhere. Back of a length on the stumps, and he turns this around the corner for 1. So I think Mustafiza got injured in county cricket. So I think it was playing Blast, and he basically went through he played for everywhere. He played for Bangladesh, then he played for every franchise in the world until he got to the Blast, and his arm just gave way in the end. It was too much cricket. But for someone who'd struggled to get into the Bangladesh team, that actually held him back a little bit. They saw him in the nets, and I think it was Mortaza saw him and just went, what's this? And so they held him back because they were worried, and he was very raw at that stage. In fact, if you look at, comes in again, short outside off stump, Moeen leans back, almost limbos this down to third man for 1, into the 34th, 139 for 5. If you look at that documentary they made on the Mumbai Indians that Netflix had, you can hear Mahela getting frustrated with him quite a bit in that, and that was even a few years into his career. from what I've heard, the last couple of years, he's really developed. He's a much smarter bowler. Before, he was just physically talented. Now he's thinking it through. Because he's not as good as he was when we first saw him.
No, I mean...
He was unplayable.
He was unplayable. It said he had 1 year in the IPL. He was literally just... If he went for more than 20, he was having a nightmare. He was doing extremely well. He was regularly getting 4 free-fers, bowling at the back end.
He was spinning it more than the spinners, but at 80 miles an hour, right? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it was. And as you say, when you're young, you're carefree. And it's sometimes, how many times do we hear of someone turning up to the nets and someone going, hang on a minute. It's happened with Imran, didn't it? Imran saw Wazim. And then, I think Lara saw, it was either Darryl Powell or someone like that, someone who had some pace and just went, need to give him a go.
There was an Indian spinner who played against Australia, I think. Abby might remember. This is a half volley and off stump, punch down to long off, and they're going to take one. Who bowled in the nets, and the Indians literally picked him in that game. So it does happen occasionally. You do see these players. 140 for 5 here on TalkSport 2. Jared Gimmer and Alex Tudor. 70 off 95. It's with these 3 boundaries that Malan has scored recently. Certainly England back on top for the first time in a while, probably since Jacks went out. But Bangladesh have found a way to get some wickets. Just changing the field here. They've actually, I think they've moved the cover sweeper around to extra cover to where Malan likes to hit that boundary. And Mahidi, of course, then bowls it on leg stump, which he was never going to hit the offside anyway, and is defended back down the wicket. He's so good at hitting over extra cover. I always think that's worth it for Dawid Malan, just having that fielder a little bit straighter. And that's where and because of that, he's played a false shot. It's gone out to that fielder eventually anyway. But because of that, he tried to go inside out, got the outside edge of the bat, but it's scooted out, and the sweeper will fix it in just 1 run.
It's like he's listening to us. It's like he's got TalkSport 2 in his ears.
I should tell him about Cheltenham. Oh, and this is a great ball. It drifts, and Moeen Ali's almost run himself out as well. He got the inside edge, it popped up. There was no one on the leg side. Moeen Ali was ball watching because it was such a good delivery, it put him off, and he ran down the wicket, and Dawid Malan sitting there going, what are you doing? Get back. Oh, it's hit his glove. Oh.
Big bounce. Good bowling.
He's got the slip in from Moeen Ali. Again, this is good ball. Good batting. Oh, there might be a run out here. Non-strikers end. No, he misses. I think he might have got back Malan, but that's 2 balls in a row. This time, it was Malan who wanted it, and Moeen didn't. These two don't have excellent communication skills between them.
Honestly, it's really bad. Really, Ryan would know. We always used to have a go at his mate Ravi Papara. Ravi weren't great running between the wickets.
Round up ball! He's angled it in. It's gone straight through Moeen Ali with 2 run outs, a ball off the glove. It was all happening, and he drops his arm here, Mahdi Hassan, and Moeen Ali plays for the spin. There's no spin. It goes straight through, and he has been bowled. 141 for 6. Just when England got back on top, Bangladesh find another wicket.
Yeah, fantastic bowling. Ball before. So in that one, just going on with the arm, beating on the inside. It's a ball that Moeen Ali would have been proud of. Mahidi's been impressive tonight. And that's a massive wicket. A big blow for England. Moeen Ali has to part for full team 32 balls face. England 141 for 6. Live here on TalkSport 2.
69 off 90 is required. That is a very, very interesting one. I think Tudes is going to have a spell. If you love live sport, just don't forget here on TalkSport 2, we've got it all. 3:30 tomorrow morning, India, Australia, on TalkSport 2. Get it on the app. Best way of getting it. As I said before, there is Cheltenham coming up soon, which is all the iconic jumps action on the TalkSport network. So there's heaps of sport coming up. Not to mention there's a Liverpool versus Wolves and Arsenal Everton. So if you get the app, you can go between TalkSport and TalkSport 2, depending on which football team is annoying you at the most at any one time, I assume. And of course, we'll be back. We're doing all 6 games as well of this series, so 5 to come after this. So ton of live sport on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. But this is getting interesting. So you left before, Tendo, and then you said to me, tell me what CricFizz says. And at that stage, we thought Bangladesh was in charge. That was just after Jacks had come to the crease. And CricFizz said, no. England's well on top. 70% likely to win. Then there was another wicket after Jackson put on a bit of partnership. It still said that England was well on top. Surely, eventually, win predictor's going to say that Bangladesh is on top in this game.
Yeah, I've got them on top again with the fall of that wicket. It was a much-needed partnership between those two. I thought they soaked up the pressure nicely. But now for the tail with all the right-handers to face the two left-arm spinners is going to be a real challenge, and Bangladesh with a bit of cleverness and smartness should be able to navigate their way around these last 4 wickets.
This is updated according to the score, but currently CricViz has England as an 88% chance of winning. Which
I'm not entirely always convinced with these.
It seems every time they lose a wicket, they become more of a favourite.
88% when they need 70 or 15 overs with 4 wickets in hand.
Wokes is the last guy left who can bat. I don't know what his record is in Asia and these sorts of pitches as well, but that was beautiful bowling. Abby, did you think he just dropped his arm a little bit lower there?
Yeah, I think the wrist went under the ball rather than going over, and that's why the ball just went through the arm. But Moeen Ali again looking to play it towards point rather than looking to play it mid-off cover, where he could have easily,
It's interesting if you look back too. He was hit on the gloves.
Yeah.
Then the next ball spun and he sort of opened the face and pushed at it, and then the next one went through. So he kind of deceived 3 balls in a row.
Yeah.
And we got a bit more excited because of the many run-out opportunities that we were seeing at that point. But no, definitely brilliant bowling by Mehdi Hassan. I said today his highlight package looks great today. It's surprising he's only got the 2 wickets.
Yeah, and obviously the over before Malan got into him, 2 sixes, which you kind of felt swung the momentum England's way, like they'd navigated their way out of the rough seas and into sort of a period of calm where they were going to dominate the next 5 overs and tuck the game away. So a great time to pick up the wicket and a chance to bowl to the new batter now.
And also I think his captain did really well. He's rotated his bowlers well. Still Shakib got 5 more overs to bowl with the right-handers coming in. I just think, he's got it right with his captaincy as well here.
We've just got a bit of a delay. There's a problem with the stumps. I thought that's why Shakib kept playing with the stumps, but I thought he was just bored. But it does look like there is something wrong with either the bails, maybe the light-up bails are not lighting up, or something else is going on. Those light-up bails, for how much people pay for them, I'd want them to light up every time.
Yeah, they are quite expensive, aren't they, the Zing bells?
Also, we still call them the Zing bails, and they're no longer sponsored by the chicken company anymore, are they?
Just having a look at the overs remaining, Tamim Iqbal's disposal, obviously 5 for Shakib and 3 for Tajul. That's going to be important with the right-handers to come. And then obviously Malan being the last left-hander, last recognised left-hander now, he's going to have to scoot his way around maybe with some of the part-time bowlers in Mamadou, who we haven't seen yet. Shanto just bowled the 1 over.
Did you hear what I was saying about Mamadou before? So he didn't bowl in the BPL. And he bowled 11 overs last year and 12 overs the year before in ODI cricket. So he's basically stopped bowling.
Oh, wow. Obviously his batting's... He's always been a batter. He bowled a little bit. That's how I've always viewed him. But I always thought he was more than just a handy part-time off-spinner. His record must be pretty decent.
So when he came into international cricket, he started as a bowler. So he used to bat at number 9. I think he might have even made runs from number 10 in one game. Then moved up. And then when he became a franchise player, which is probably when you were playing against him, Tendo, he certainly then played more as a batter. Reverse sweep as Shakib comes in. And Dawood Malan has smashed this for 4. Beautiful shot. Slightly overpitched, but he timed that beautifully and 4 runs.
Malan's been excellent. He's really soaked up the pressure, and we spoke about managing the innings. And yes, it hasn't been fluent all the time, but the way he's kept them in the game, it just kept the scoreboard ticking over and chosen one little period to attack. And all of a sudden, his runs, even at the rate they've come at, is the difference between England being in the game and totally out of it.
Shakib again a little bit too straight here, but turned to short mid-wicket, no run.
Here we go, let's come, boys.
You can hear the talk, Bangladesh. They think they're in this one. 65 off 88 required. Rate is not out of control, especially with Malan there. Big appeal. It was spinning a long way. I can't imagine that was going to be hitting the stumps.
This is the 4th or the 5th time he's got hit on the pads in a similar fashion, and they've gone big. But because of the turn and that extra bit of bounce on the surface, the umpires have denied their appeal. It's a good decision by the umpire again.
Shakib comes in, straight one. This is mistimed off the back foot by Malan, but it'll go up to long on and they'll get one. I think we haven't talked about this enough, but I think their appealing game's been quite strong today.
Yeah, they've been right on the money, and why wouldn't they? But again, yeah, that extra bit of turn and bounce would have taken the ball away from the leg stump.
This was a test pitch. You'd have a short leg in all the time, wouldn't you? We've had so many gloves and inside edges, and not sure if he hit that one in the end, actually. And so that one would have gone down leg side, and it had a bit of bounce on it. Probably would have around the bail height, but spinning quite a bit. If Shakib wants an LBW, he's better off coming around the wicket, I would have thought.
They need to focus on how they want to go about bowling to each of the batters. You know, Shakib is the attacking option at the moment, and ideally you want to bowl as many balls as you can to Wokes.
Comes around the wicket to Wokes, beats him straight away. Length ball, spins, doesn't bounce very much. They got a slip in place and a catching cover. You can hear Mushfiqur behind the stumps. It's a beautiful delivery. And this one goes straighter, but Wokes comes forward, defends it for no run.
Yeah, I think they're just better off giving a single to Malan and really frustrate him and bowl as many deliveries as possible to Wokes. That's where you have the chance of picking up a wicket. And if you can get another couple, then it's going to be really difficult even for Malan to get them over the line.
146 for 6. That was Abhishek Janjawala. Ryan Tedescarter's with me as well. Jared Kimber after 36 overs. England needs 64 from 84 with 4 wickets in hand. With Malan at the crease, England still a very, very big chance, but Tail come in from here. Adil Rashid will probably come in next, won't he, Tendo?
Yeah, you know, he hasn't batted as well batting a few years ago, but probably because the England batting lineup's been so strong, particularly in T20 cricket, we hardly see him anymore. But yeah, him and Wood can still be useful with the bat.
Mustafiza, mid on and mid off in the circles. We've seen for most of the day for the seam bowlers. Comes in, top of off stump, and again, confusion with the batters here. Malan has opened the face to backward point, and Malan assumed there was a run there because of Chris Wokes' body language as much as anything I could, and then they suddenly realised there wasn't. Just little bits of confusion out there. It's not that loud, the crowd. It's not that they can't hear each other.
Again, good piece of fielding by Mehendi. Again, diving to his right, picking up one-handed. At the end, it was a good call by Wokes. He could be in trouble.
Malan. Mustafiza over the wicket to him, and this time he plays the exact same shot, just guides it down to third, but gets a past Mehendi, and it goes down to Taskin Ahmed, and they take the single. Mustafiza's gone for 28 in 5.2 overs. As we see the Bangladesh coaching staff, Rangana Haraf, Alan Donald. So what's that, about 600 wickets, test wickets between those two? I'm trying to think how many Alan Donald has. I know Haraf has over 300, doesn't he? Pretty handy double act. Not sure you need a left-arm finger spinner coach in Bangladesh who's not from Bangladesh. Surely they could have found a local for that job.
Yeah, I'm sure they could have, yeah.
It's like getting a tall, fast bowling coach in Australia. Wokes is facing up. He's faced 2 balls so far. 147 for 6 here on TalkSport 2. Bowling over the wicket, and there's an edge, and it's almost caught. They had a floating slipper or like a gully in place, and he slashed at that one, Wokes, but it flew off the bat, and unfortunately catcher couldn't get a hand on it, and also third couldn't come around to stop it, and it's gone for 4. That's a bonus for England.
Yeah, going across him, he's thrown his hands at it. It's gone pretty quickly. You know, the one earlier where Butler was caught went really slow, and again, that's the difference in the pace coming out the wicket.
Wasn't that wide, actually. He really threw his hands at that, Wokes, with the angle. He's 4 off 3. Oh, and this one's better. It's slightly shorter, slightly straighter, and it moves away from him as well. I'm not sure if that tail, was that a little bit of reverse?
I'm not sure about the reverse, but yeah, definitely moved. Maybe after pitching, it went off the surface rather than in the air. But yeah, the previous delivery where he got the boundary, the good thing Wokes did that he went really hard rather than just trying to fend at it. He went hard. Probably that's the reason the ball flew off the outside edge. But yeah, Mustafiza is such a canny customer. Just bowling the perfect length to Chris Wokes.
He gets the same length, but it's a little bit straight this time, and Wokes has a chance to get off strike. So that's another small victory for England there. 5 from 5. Malan is 73 not out from 109. It's only a 210 chase, but it has been a tricky wicket all the way through. For pace and for seam, really. It's kept all the bowlers interested. Malan is facing up for the last ball of Mr. Fizz's over. Short. And he pulls this away in front of square, and that's gone for 4. He's picked the gap between mid-wicket and the man out on the boundary, and he's just timed that incredibly well. Beautiful shot.
Yeah, Tamim's going to have to roll the dice here. He's still got 3 left in Tuscan. I know there's still 50-odd runs needed, but you know they're going to close and get it under 40 with 4 wickets in hand, and they should be able to see it home from there. So it's a juggling act now. He's got to be brave here and take the risk. You can, the left and right-hander, you've got to be able to use your left arm spinners cleverly, and maybe it's a good time to bring Tuscan Ahmed back to try and get a wicket. He's gone 1 for 13 of 7 and bowled incredibly well this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been outstanding, and you need, as you said, they need to rotate the bowlers better and rotate well. They've done it so far. To be honest, he's captained the side quite well. He's kept the right bowlers for the back end of the innings, but this is a time where they need a wicket or two desperately. Otherwise, the moment it comes down to 30, 40 runs with 4 wickets in hand, it's going to be an easy game for England from there.
Got a lot of overs at left arm finger spin left. Tijal and Shakib. And it's going to be Shakib continuing. It's time to Chris Wokes. Good matchup for them. Got a slip in place. He over pitches though, and it's a good shot from Chris Wokes, who gets down to the pitch of it, knocks it too long off for 1 run.
But this is something they need to do. They need to bring the long off in. Let's try and stop him from taking a single, ask him to go aerial, try and take a risk with the ball turning away from him. If he can do that, good on him.
Well, this is what me and Ryan were talking about earlier, that teams don't really, they just automatically put fielders out. And in that position, if Chris Wokes is going to try and hit Shakib Al Hassan over mid-off, I think you'd think it's in your favour, don't you? He's bowling to Dawid Malan. This is on off-stump. Malan reaches across and hits it to short mid-wicket. There's no run. 86 kilometres an hour, that one. Malan facing up again. No, just a break. 157 for 6. It walks across this line again, flicks this to the backward square, and gets another one. I don't think that's a problem, though, for Bangladesh. They've got a dot ball out of Malan, and they've got just a single, and they get Wokes back on strike. I think they should be happy with that. Slip in place and short cover.
Yeah, sometimes when you're going to get the low order batter out, and then you do get the prize of the top guy, that's the cherry on the top.
Big cover drive here by Chris Wokes. Hits it out to the sweeper, and they get 1. That's twice as slightly over pitch to Wokes, I think.
Yeah, I think Shakib is trying to just get a bit of dip on it and try and encourage him to play that drive and get the outside edge. But at the moment, he's going a bit too full. It's been easy the last couple of deliveries for Chris Wokes.
This is a good ball to Dawid Malan. Perfect length. That's probably the length he wants to Chris Wokes. And in the end, Malan just comes forward and defends that. And there's no run. Good tight over so far. This one's down leg side. And he's flicked this around the corner to deep backward square. They think of 2, but there was only ever 1 there. England now need 50 of 72 balls at the end of the 38th over. It's 160 for 6 here on TalkSport 2. I'll leave you with some thoughts with Ryan Tenduskarta and Abhishek Janjamola as Guy Swindles puts on his headphones and hopefully remembers to take the mute button off.
I have for once.
Yeah, 50 required of 72 deliveries with Malan, who's played an outstanding innings again. He's been the mainstay in the 50-over format for England. He's played some exceptional innings in the last few months. And again, taking that responsibility and getting the team through. So yeah, a lot will depend on him. If England wants to win this, he should try and stay till the very end, and the others can just bat around him.
No, fascinatingly poised now, this match. Can England get over the line? Can Dawid Malan stay there? 79 gritty runs from 114 deliveries. Adil Rashid to come, Jofra Archer and Mark Wood, and that swung away deep, but short of the fielder, who drops it, and they should be able to get through for a couple. In fact, they still only take one, never run on a misfield.
Yeah, good result for them. Tajul Islam, left arm orthodox, he'll be wanting to bowl to Wokes like we've mentioned. I think right again from Malan, he's been very measured in when he's taken his chances. A strong shot for him. The left arm on, try catch him in his first ball, and a sweep away for one in the end.
So Wokes will be facing. Runner ball 7 at the moment. England need under 50. 49 off 71 balls. Some nervous looking faces in the crowd of both sets of supporters. Tajul is in and Wokes takes a big stride forward. Ball is in the air for a little while as it heads toward the covers, but is perfectly safe. Tajul in again, and there's a shout for LBW, but I think that was probably missing the next set of stumps down the leg side, and it is an appeal that is strangled in the bowler's throat. The crowd got excited for a moment, but even they realised it was going down leg stump, I think. Tajul in again, and that's better, and another defensive shot from Chris Wokes, just plays it back to the bowler.
I liked Abby's suggestion about the field change there. The other option is to bring in a short straight catch and cover and have the guy back and try force him to play with hard hands. You might get a catching chance.
Oh, this has gone straight up in the air. It's a leading edge and it's been taken, and Chris Wokes has gone for 7 off just 10 balls. It looks as if he was playing quite comfortably, and it looks as if it was a fairly regulation turn to leg, but he got a top edge. It's flown to mid-on, and Wokes has gone, and England have lost another wicket, which leaves them in deep, deep trouble here at the moment. Go on, Abby.
I think that ball just stopped on the pitch a little bit. Chris Wokes didn't expect the ball to stop. He was expecting the ball to come nicely onto the bat, and that's what these sort of pitches can do. Some ball holds onto the surface, some balls comes onto the bat quite nicely, and he turned his bat a little bit earlier than he should have. And England are in a bit of a bother now with 7 wickets down. Chris Wokes back in the hut, and Adil Rashid walks into the middle.
Yeah, he knows how to hold one end of the bat, so does Jofra Archer and so does Mark Wood, but Chris Wokes will be a big miss for Dawid Malan now as he tries to see the side over the line. You'd have to say you probably make Bangladesh favourites now.
That was a fairly innocuous knocking back of a length ball, and I think in the role that they're asking him to play here, he probably needs to play with a straighter bat, eliminate the risk. It's obviously just holding the surface a little bit. He's threw the shot a little bit early and the leading edge just pops up. I think if he's going to be critical and self-evaluate on that, he probably wants to play that either with a straighter bat or with softer hands just to knock it in for one, eliminate all the risk and just do his job of getting Dawid Malan back on strike.
Well, at the moment, Adil Rashid, age 35 now. Played this is his 123rd one-day international. He does have a high score of 69 and averages just under 20. As I say, he knows one end of the bat from the other, but this is nervy times on a wicket that isn't easy to bat on. Tajul in again. And it's flicked away nicely by Adil Rashid, but straight to mid-wicket. There is no run. It's the end of the 39th over. England require 49 from 66 deliveries, but they've only got 3 wickets in hand. Malan is 80 not out. Rashid yet to get off the mark. Tajul 3 for 42 for his 8 overs here on Talk Sport 2. And would you make Bangladesh favourite at the moment, boys, or...?
I certainly would. I think if England are going to win here, Malan's going to have to get 35 of these last 50 runs that they need. And in that time, there's going to be plenty of opportunity to dismiss the tail. It's 3 wickets. he's done well managing his bowlers. He's still got 6 overs of left arm spin up his sleeve. He's still got 3 overs of the main threat bowler Taskin Ahmed, and Mustafiz will be a handful for the tail as well. So for me, certainly Bangladesh should be able to win this game from this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, they really smartly managed his troops here, and with 6 more overs of left arm spin against 3 right-handers to come, the tail-handers, is going to be very difficult for them to score the runs needed from here.
Well, here is the left arm spin of Shakib to the left-hander Dawid Malan, and he turns it round the corner to that squarish fine leg halfway back to the boundary, and they go through for a single. And Adil Rashid, the right-hander, will now have to cope with the left arm spin, and Bangladesh have just kept the pressure on throughout with the ball. Again, clever changes of bowling throughout the innings have kept the pressure on England. Shakib in again, and a very solid looking forward defensive from Adil Rashid, who gets a big stride forward.
It's obviously too early to be manipulating the strike, but Dawid Malan's going to have to start thinking about his options and when he's going to take risks. They probably need 4 or 5 boundaries in the lead up to the run chase now.
And there's a bit of turn there, and Adil Rashid propping forward sees the ball go safely, but from the outside edge.
Yeah, it'll be difficult for Adil Rashid to rotate strike against these 2 quality spinners.
Oh, and he tries to play the late cut, but the ball is through him and into the hands of the wicket keeper. And Shakib bowling really nicely now, slightly quicker delivery. Nicely taken by the keeper. And that is shorter, and it's hammered away by Adil Rashid. It's a good shot. It wasn't the best ball Shakib has bowled in what's been a very good several spells so far, but that was short, and it was given the treatment it deserved by Adil Rashid, who's on it very quickly. But 4 incredibly valuable runs as far as England are concerned, and a first boundary for Adil Rashid. Shakib in again, this time Rashid on the back foot, just pushes it out to point, and there is no run. But there were 5 from the over. England now require 44 from the last 10 overs. 40 overs gone, England 166 for 7, and remember, they're chasing 210 for victory. At the same point, Bangladesh were 175 for 7, so not much in it must be said. So, and Bangladesh's tail managed to get up to 209. Can Dawid Malan shepherd the tail to a similar fashion?
I think it's fair to say that Bangladesh managed the back end of the innings poorly. They're obviously ahead on the run rate, same amount of wickets down. And apart from Tajul Islam slapping a few around towards the back end, they probably left 10 or 15 runs there. So England do have a chance here to be better than Bangladesh in this phase, and that's sort of the last glimmer of hope to win the game. Adil Rashid is no mug with the bat. I think he's a victim of the success of the English batting lineup of the last 5 or 6 years, where he's batted less and less as time's gone on. But he's still got something up his sleeve, and tonight he's going to have to produce something a little 15-20 not out to see them over the line.
He's got 10 first-class hundreds, haven't he?
Yeah.
If you've got 10 first-class 100, you can bat.
No, England have got quite a lot of these number 8s that are a bit unlucky, because they always have to bat that bit lower down. As you look at Wokes with a bat, he has Test match 50s, and in again is Tajul, and that is launched by Malan. 1 bounce to the fielder at deep mid-wicket. There was some excitement for the bowler and for the crowd for a minute, but it was well short in the end of the fielder. But certainly he would have thought for a moment he might have been in, as Malan fetches it from outside off onto the leg side. In fact, it bounced nearer to the fielder than I thought when I first watched it.
Dawid Malan is feeling that he can't win this game with 1s and 2s, so he'll need those odd boundaries, and probably that's the reason he went for that big shot. The ball was in the slot, but the bat just turning in his hand, so couldn't get the elevation, luckily. But if he did get a bit more, it could have gone straight to the fielder.
Tajul in again, and Adil Rashid plays that back to the bowler. He feels sharply going to his left as Rashid comforting sound of the middle of the bat as he played that defensive shot. Tejul in again and again, nicely played by Adil Rashid. Inside out drive up to mid-off, who is deep Shanto, so they can trot through for a very easy single. And I hate to put the mockers on it, and as a commentator you usually do in these circumstances, but Rashid's looked as comfortable as anybody out there so far.
It's just going back to Ryan's point that when you don't get that many opportunities with the bat, which has happened with Rashid, he doesn't really bat a lot in international cricket. You also stop taking batting so seriously. When you come into the scene, you know that you take it very seriously, but as the years go...
Well, certainly Malan feels comfortable to take the singles. This time he plays it all along the ground to long on, and they go through for one.
When you stop getting opportunities with the bat, over the years, when you see that majority of the time the batters do the job for your side, you don't bat so much in the net, you don't do your rituals. I don't know about Rashid if he does or not, but then you tend to lose that a little bit.
And he plays that nicely on the forward defensive, particularly if you concentrate on white ball game.
Absolutely.
Far less opportunities to bat. There isn't a first innings that you'll always have to bat, pretty much. And that is short, and it's swung away by Adil Rashid nicely again, but Mamadullah is fielding in the deep, and there will just be a single. But comfortably played that over, 4 singles from it. The score goes up to 170 for 7. England require 40 from 9 overs. Malan 83, Rashid 6 here on TalkSport 2. As the DJ cranks up the music again in the stadium. Bangladesh will be favourites, as we've heard Ryan Dendiskata suggest, but as long as Malan is there, there is a chance. And he has played superbly. He's 83. He's included 5 4s and 3 6s. And now we are ready to continue. Adil Rashid is marking his guard.
And Taskin back into the attack. Tamim Iqbal's seen enough of the spin now. Like you said, Adil Rashid looks very comfortable against spin.
Remarkable figures. 7 overs, 1 for 13 from Taskin. And Taskin, see whether he can pepper up Adil Rashid, and Adil Rashid is straight on the back foot and punches very comfortably out into the deep cover sweeper for a comfortable single.
Had the pleasure of working with Adil Rashid at Northern Superchargers last summer, and he takes his batting very seriously. He did a lot of range hitting. It's obviously a different setup there where you know you're only going to face 5 or 6 balls in the position he bats. But certainly technically and just from a groove point of view, it looks like he's moving nicely. He's hit the ball in the middle of the bat. He's looked as accomplished as any of the batters who have come before him today, so that's a good sign for England.
They need someone to stay with Malan, and at the moment Rashid has survived 11 balls and scored 7. Bit of a delay as Taskin just readjusts the field for the left-handed and more established Malan. Checks with the skipper, see whether the field placements are acceptable. Tejul has taken 3 of the 7 wickets to 4, but Taskin has bowled really, really nicely with just 1 wicket to show for it, and that is just played backward of square all the way to a wideish fine leg, and again they trot through for a comfortable single. So at the moment these two just happy to push the ball around, as the run rate is still less than 5, so singles are still important at this stage. Don't need to hit the leather off the ball.
I think it's very doable. They can do it now where they stand. They can do with 1s and 2s, 4 or 5 single and over. You will get the odd boundaries here and there.
Taskin in again, and that is left outside off stump, with the bat held high above his head by Adil Rashid through to the wicket-keeper. Rashid, with a shrug of the shoulders and an adjustment of his batting pads, gets in position again.
The run rate's not going to be a problem. I think it's a mental game now where you look at the amount of runs needed and the amount of wickets in hand. So England will have a small little target here. If they get it sort of under 25 now with 3 wickets in hand, the pressure will be back on Bangladesh. And that shift in mindset does play a big part. The psychology of a run chase and needing to get the wickets does come into it. So that's got to be England's next target, a small target.
Adil Rashid then facing Taskin. Oh, and that's tempted into the pull shot, which luckily for Adil Rashid he didn't completely nail, so it fell short of fine leg. Yeah, we saw that during the tail end of the England-New Zealand Test match, when you'd think one team was in the ascendancy and they were safely going to go home, then the wickets would fall and suddenly the bowlers looked as if the bowling team looked as if they were comfortably going to hold it. So still plenty of swings likely to be possible in this game, but Rashid takes a single. 2 balls left of this Taskin over. Malan still very much in the zone. You can see the look in his eyes as Taskin comes in once again, right arm over the wicket to the left-handed Malan, who just chops the ball down to third man, and they almost walk through for the comfortable single. And they've taken 5 singles off this over so far, which is exactly what they need.
Yeah, Malan's a nice contrast to everything else England have installed. That ball that he does knock on its head, so to speak. He lets it come past him and then just sort of angles the bat down to third man. And it's a low-risk shot and a good rotating shot for him. He scores a lot of runs then. And in this situation, it's perfect. Just keep rotating the strike, keep working away at that target. Very low risk and bringing the target down to a more manageable number.
Adil Rashid ready to receive the final ball of this over, and he uses his wrists very nicely to flick the ball onto the leg side from outside off, which means they can run through for an easy couple. A very nice shot indeed, clever shot at this stage of proceedings as well, and a good over for England. They've taken the score now on to 176 for 7. Rashid, playing really sensibly, has moved to 10 from his 14 balls. Malan still absolutely crucial though to England's chances of victory. 85 not out, but England need 34 now from 8 overs, so fractionally over 4 and over, as they sit here on TalkSport 2 on 176 for 7.
Abby, do you feel like Taskin might just run out of gas there? That over didn't look like nothing was happening, and I know it's getting a bit later and maybe a bit of dew in the lights, but that looked pretty easy going even for Adil Rashid.
Yeah, that looked very easy. The last shot, which he flicked through mid-wicket from outside the off stump, reminded me a lot of Virendra Sehwag. He used to play that shot very, very well on the back foot. It's a very difficult shot to play, but he executed it very easily on that occasion, Adil Rashid.
I think Adil Rashid would like to hear that. You're as good as Sehwag, and that's blasted well into the crowd. That's a huge shot from Malan. He just picked Tajul's delivery and has just smashed it over cow corner for a huge 6. What a shot.
And he's picked his moment so well. The matchup's there for him, and again, first ball of the over. It's not a great delivery, particularly given the circumstances and what he needs to do as a bowler is to get Adil Rashid on strike. But Malan's innings has been really measured now. I think he's been really smart how he's gone about it, particularly since they've been 4-5 down.
Yeah, I mean, it's shown great game awareness.
Tajul in again, a bit of turn. He flicks it off the leg stump. They get 1. I think they'll stop at 1.
Yeah, again, as I said, he showed great, very good game awareness throughout this innings. And as Tender mentioned, that he's been very measured. He knew exactly the moments he need to hit a boundary, the moment he need to take singles. And yeah, he's done it perfectly. And if you ask anybody now, with 27, 46 deliveries with 3 wickets in hand, I mean, England will have to do something really, really poor here to lose this game.
Tajul in again, and that's miscued really by Adil Rashid, but perfectly safely to cover. And the other great thing about that 6 off the first ball of the over is it takes all the pressure off for the rest of the over. You've got your runs in the bank, and Adil Rashid can just punch it off the back foot into the covers, as he has done for the single, knowing that they're ahead of the run rate.
In modern day cricket also, you break it down to boundaries nowadays a lot more. So if you think about it in boundary terms, there's only 4 boundaries required for England to win this game, and both these players are more than capable of doing that at any given time.
Tijul in again, and Malan plays that from outside off into the leg side, but straight to the fielder at mid-wicket, so there is no run. But again, Malan knows he's done the hard work with the 6 off the first ball of that over. Tijul in again, and Malan again plays it back to the bowler on the leg side, looking to play from the off stump onto the leg side. End of another productive over for England. They now require 26 from 42 deliveries, and Malan has moved to 92 not out. An absolutely superb knock from him. Adil Rashid 11 not out. And when these two came together, it looked done and dusted as far as England were concerned, but Adil Rashid's very, very sensible, very clever innings so far. Seems to have given confidence to Malan, knowing that the other end is pretty safe.
Yeah, they've put on 23 and really changed the outlook of this game. 161 for 7, 184 for 7. I feel like they've broken the back of the last part of the chase. It's not over yet, obviously. Even a wicket now before they get to 15 is going to make the last 15 tricky. So there still is a window of opportunity for Bangladesh, but certainly this partnership has for my money, put England in front again.
Interesting how quickly this game can change as Abby disappears to go and do his day job, having finished his stint with us today. Shakib has not finished his stint for the day though, and is coming up to bowl the 44th over of this innings. England need another 26, remember, from 7 overs, so less than 4 an over now. 26 of 42 balls required. And suddenly the smiling faces of the Bangladeshi players looking altogether more concerned now as Shakib is in, and Adil Rashid goes back and plays the Verinder Sehwag shot that Abby was describing earlier, going back, and good use of the wrists to flick the ball into the leg side where they can take a comfortable single. And as far as Rashid is concerned as well, give the strike back to David Malan. 92 not out now. We've only seen 2 half centuries in the match today. Malan facing, and goes back, and in the end has to chop down very quickly to keep out a ball that Shakib had pushed through that bit sharper, and it didn't bounce that much either, but Malan must be seeing the ball well now. That's outside off, and Malan punches it, and he finds a gap in the field as well. And although there are 2 sweepers out on the boundary, they can go through for 2 runs. Nice placement by Malan. He didn't try and smash the ball, he just played it very nicely into the gap, almost directly square of the wicket on the offside for 2. This comes off a thickish outside edge all along the ground, and the short third man, backward point man position, the fielder can come in and cut off any chance of a run. And there's a shout for LBW, but it certainly hit him outside the line of the stumps, and I think would have probably gone over and missed as well, which I think Shakib realised too. It was more in hope than expectation that the appeal went up. But it was a good delivery and nothing that Malan could do about it. And Shakib is in again, and that's wide, and Malan slaps it out to deep point position and takes the single, takes the strike, and another good over for England, solid. They need 22 more now of 36 deliveries. Malan moves to 95, Rashid to 12 here on TalkSport 2. And excellent stuff from these two, coming together with England in bother. But Rashid has kept Malan in excellent company, and you just look at Malan's innings of 95. Next highest by anyone in the England team was Will Jacks with 26. That's how important that has been. And I'll hand over to Andrew McKenna to see you through to the end of this match.
Thank you, Guy. Yeah, which way's this one going? Feels like England, if David Malan can face the majority of the balls, 22 needed from 36. But Mustafizur is coming back into the attack. 0 for 37 so far from 6. Good game, this one, Shoots. Low scoring game, but a good one.
Yeah, as we call it, Macamie and you, the low scoring classic. It's been very good. As you said, sometimes the 300, 400 plays 300. Yeah, it's entertaining if you're, a batter, someone's going to be getting big runs. But this is good. Bowlers on top, then a batter staying in, and David Malan's playing a fantastic innings here for England.
95 not out. Mustafizur is on his way. Left arm over. It's a paddle around the corner down to long leg by Malan. Up on one leg. Just helps it on its way. They take a single. The throw back in has clattered into the stumps at the non-striker's end, but nobody interested in overthrows. So 189 for 7, 21 needed from 35, and Malan goes to 96.
And we've hit many a time with David Malan with his innings, Macca. The first 50 always a little bit scratchy, and then he kicks on. Did it in South Africa where he faced near enough 80, 90 balls to get to his 100. I think it might have been 80 to get to his 50. And then I think he got his 100 in less than 100. It just shows you how he just turned the gears.
Rashid on strike. Mustafizur stays over the wicket to the right-hander. Rashid turns this well out to the mid-wicket sweeper. Yes, no, they're going to stay at a single only. 1 taken, 20 needed from 34, 190 for 7. Something me and you picked up off air. This is now the 3rd over in the last 5 that David Malan took a single off the first ball. He did it in the 40th, did it in the 41st, he's now done it in the 45th. England can't turn runs down, but it potentially takes him off strike for a lot of balls if Adil Rashid can't take it back. And as we keep saying, if David Malan faces the majority of the balls left in this game, England win, and pretty comfortably. He's back on strike now. He's beaten outside of off stump as Mustafizur bowls one that grips actually, and it goes over the top of the bat. That David Malan is trying to guide it down to 3rd, and there's no run. 190 for 7, 20 from 33.
Yeah, definitely agree, especially when Adil first came to the wicket. He was taking those singles off the first over. I mean, the first ball of the over. But Adil's looked assured, hasn't he? He's looked really good, and there's a couple of those clips.
Yeah, one of them in particular was very special. This is from Mustafizur. It's a left-arm spinner, basically. Really grips in the surface. David Malan turns it around to long leg and will take a single. Goes to 97. 191 for 7. 19 needed from 32.
Abby was saying it reminded him of Sehwag. Forget Sehwag. You remind me Azharuddin. It's like balls outside off stump. He's saying, come to my side. Fantastic shot. The timing of it as well. So he's obviously putting in the work in the nets. That's all he can do. As you said, he's not getting a lot of batting. But when it calls upon, this is when it's important to have that depth in your batting lineup.
13 from 18. He faces Mustafizur and plays an absolute copybook forward defensive. The ball rolls 2 metres from the bat at the very, very most. The bowler has to amble down and collect it. 19 from 31 to go 1-0 up in this 3-match series, exclusively live here on TalkSport 2.
You know, he's played a lot of cricket, Adil Rashid. He's got a lot of runs in first-class cricket. He said 10 first-class hundreds. You know, you can't just throw that away. He's a very good player. He just, as you say, in this one-day side, he doesn't really get the opportunity to bat, but he can bat. He's a proper batter.
Final ball of Mustafizur's over. It's again another cutter from over the wicket, and Adil Rashid is in behind this playing defensively. So Malan will be on strike. 19 needed from 30 is the equation. 191 for 7 here on TalkSport 2. 45 overs, the 50 overs have gone for England. David Malan will be 97 not out on strike as we start the 46. Just a reminder, of course, there's football coming up this evening. A game on TalkSport, a game here on TalkSport 2. So get your DAB radio sorted out, or the app, of course, or listen online or via your smart speaker. And you can choose which game you want to hear this evening. And of course, tomorrow morning, back early doors, we'll be bringing you the test match between India and Australia. It was an incredible first day in indoor. I haven't got time to tell you what happened, because I've only got about 2 minutes before the next ball, and that isn't sufficient enough time to tell you. Absolute lunacy going on in that game. Join the boys early hours tomorrow morning, and then we're back from 5:30 on Friday for the second game of this series. Right, Taskin Ahmed is going to bowl his 9th over. 1 for 19 from 8 overs. Yes, you heard that right. 1 for 19 from the big right arm seamer. He's going to be bowling to David Malan, 97 not out. Malan has settled in and is ready. Taskin is on his way, starts with a short ball. Malan pulls, but straight to the sweeper. Out on the boundary, Mamadullah. And so it will be just a single. So it's a single to Malan to take him to 98. It means England need 18 off 29. But it's a good single from Bangladesh's point of view because it gets Adil Rashid on strike.
Yes, and we would say that initially, but Adil's looked as short as anyone, really, as he's coming. He looks like he's put some time in with the practice. As I said, he doesn't get a lot of time to bat now these days, but he's 13 off 20. He's looked assured. And a couple of those shots, as I said, Macca, to the leg side have looked elegant and very classy. So I wouldn't worry as yet.
Rashid waits. As Taskin and his captain Tamim have a conversation. Now Taskin is on the way, goes full. He goes Yorker ball, homing in towards the base of off stump. Rashid keeps it out nicely, guides it down to third and will take a single. So well played Adil Rashid. He goes to 14. 17 needed from 28 now for England.
Yeah, it's a fantastic ball. Well, as you said, he's seen it quite well. He's played that really well. Just guided it down to third man. Taskin's putting in a fantastic shift for his team. Every ball looks like hard work. He's putting in 100% effort. He's looked impressive tonight. As you said, only going for 21 from his 8.2. Got a wicket. He's probably deserved another one. But the England fans wouldn't mind that. Malan now facing up 98. Can he get to his 100 in this delivery?
Five fours, 4 sixes for David Malan so far. Taskin goes in. It's whipped off stump, wide of mid-on. It'll certainly be one. They should be able to come back for 2. It's totally irrelevant because it goes all the way for 4. Tamim can't pull it back in, and David Malan punches his right fist towards the England dressing room. He's made 100, 102 from 134 balls. It's a fantastic knock for David Malan. It's another 100, his 4th in one-day international cricket, and it means England are on the verge. They need 13 from 27, but David Malan has stood up when England needed him again.
And he just does it, doesn't he? Always scores runs when he's you think he's under pressure of if he can get into the final 11, but he goes out there and does what he needs to do. A fantastic 100, a little bit scratchy from 0 to 50, but 50 to 100 has been fantastic. Well executed, some fantastic cricket shots. Well played, young man.
Gets a short ball from Taskin on this occasion. He's pulling his head back out the way and allows it to go through. 1 for the over, says the umpire. 13 needed from 26. And everyone remembers the Kimberley game because Josh Buttler went mad and was belting it miles. But actually, David Malan was as important in that game. Didn't make as high a score as Josh Buttler, but the way he did it and the time he did it was absolutely what England needed.
I mean, his record's phenomenal in 16 innings. 400s he has.
That's some going. Tamin's going to be around the wicket to the left-handed. Malan beats him. Drive and a miss from David Malan. Was looking extra cover, but didn't get anything on it, and it's through to the keeper, and there is no run.
Averaging 62, as you said, scores his runs really well, all round the wicket. Likes to go up and over a sort of extra cover against the spinners and the seamers. His sort of go-to shot. Down the ground as well. Very accomplished on the leg side. Very well compiled 100 for David Malan, and again he's just throwing that headache for the captain and the coach when the World Cup comes around, because obviously you've got some big players to come back.
Well, I've got a feeling we might be talking about this on the following on podcast in terms of who actually England are putting into the World Cup lineup, because there are going to be some players coming back and available. Some have been on test match duty, and we'll have to talk about who gets in. Final ball of the over from Taskin. He's gone back over the wicket for this one. David Malan pushes to mid-off and takes on the arm of Shakib Al Hassan. In fact, Shakib doesn't even throw in the end because he realises he's not going to beat it out. So it's a single taken by Malan. 198 for 7. He goes to 103, and it's 12 needed from 24 balls to England to take the first match of this 3-match series.
Your currency as a batter is runs. And runs is what David Malan does. He gets runs on a consistent basis. Regardless of this, some people feel that he get it fast enough in this current climate. I think in the subcontinent, where the World Cup will be, you will need a player like David Malan, because there's going to be situations where you're not chasing 350, and there's going to be situations when you're chasing scores like this, and you need that calm influence in the batting lineup. He's left-handed as well, just to mix it up with the right-hand batters that England have. But he just goes about his business extremely well, and he definitely, for me, has to be in the squad. He takes his opportunities, and as I said, it creates a headache for the captain and coach moving forward.
Shakib Al Hassan to bowl his final over. Well, that gives a little bit low on David Malan. He's turning it around the corner and will take a single to Mahedi, who is the mid-wicket fielder. England 199 for 7, Malan to 104. 11 needed now from 23. Shakib 1 for 40. He got rid of Jason Roy, first over of the innings. That again we'll be talking about in the following on podcast. Shakib is around the wicket to Adil Rashid, turns it down to short fine leg. No run on this occasion. Jason Roy had a big yahoo at Shakib and just lobbed it up into the air to Tamim at mid-on. Shakib outside of off stump. Rashid uses that width to hit to the cover sweeper. Mamadullah does the fielding. Just a single. That's all England need at the moment. The England 200 is up. 200 for 7. 46 overs and 3 balls to get there. The next 21, though, are the most important balls. Make that now 20 as Shakib goes in and bowls. And David Malan covers up. And there is no run. 10 from 20 is the equation for England to win. Shakib over the wicket. Malan goes on the reverse paddle and gets it fine down to third. Taskin is after it. He's not going to catch it. It's going to go all the way for 4. And that should be the back broken of this one. 6 needed from 19. Malan goes to 108 with a played paddle.
Yeah, elegant shot, as you said. Just using it extremely well. Getting the reverse out. The execution, excellent. Taskin, who's putting a fantastic shift for his team, who is tired in that heat, has been sapping, was only able to shepherd it down to third. And he went for 4. Fantastic cricket shot. 6 from 19.
So we're down to 1 blow to win it, potentially. It won't be off this delivery. The final one of Shakib Al Hassan's evening. He's in, bowls around. Middle stump, turned on the onside by Malan. No run. Shakib is done. 10 overs, 1 for 45. His spell. So in terms of the bowling options that are left for Tamim Iqbal, Shakib bowled out, Tijul bowled out, Mahedi bowled out, so Taskin has 1 more over in the locker, 1 for 26, but I've got to be honest, he looks a bit stiff and tired at the moment. Might be a bit of an ask. Mustafiz has got 3 to go, and Najim Shanto bowled 1 over for 3 earlier. Well, they may have to ask Taskin to get some WD-40 on the joints. this may be an obligation. Mustafiz is going to bowl the 48th. 0 for 40 from his 7 so far, and Rashid is the man on strike. Here he comes, around the wicket, past the umpire, outside of off stump, and Rashid does well actually. He's up on his tiptoes, opening the blade, gets it down to third, takes a comfortable single. 5 needed from 17 and brings Malan back on strike as Rashid goes to 16 from 24.
So it's the importance, Mac, of the England's depth though with their batting, isn't it? When you've got Rashid coming in when he does. Still got Joffrey who can strike the ball extremely well, and Mark Wood, we know what he can do as well with bat in hand. So it's so important now, and that's what England like, didn't they? All their 11 being able to hold the bat.
Well, if you're going to play this way, then you've got to have options all the way down. Mustafiz goes in, Malan pushes out on the offside, and there is no run. Because there are going to be days that you will get collapsed into a heap. It does happen every now and again. It's not always going to work. Normally, you would say in this form of the game, 9-10 jack really shouldn't matter, because if you're down that low, you're in a world of trouble anyway. But actually, this is the day that England have needed 9 to do his job, and Adil Rashid has most definitely done it. He's watching as David Malan is on strike. Mustafizur over the wicket, some width, and David Malan flays this one. Big, thick outside edge and goes down to the 3rd boundary, but it's just a single. 3 needed from 14. And 207. No, they've already put that single up. Blimey, they put that single on the scoreboard quickly. It's 206 for 7, so 4 needed from 15. Malan 109.
Bar the 5 deliveries that Jason Roy faced at the beginning of this innings, Macca, he's been out there all game, Malan.
Very true.
Adil Rashid is taken on the pad. It must be pitching outside of leg stump though. Left arm over from Mustafizur. They're screaming and shouting. They've got 2 reviews left, and Tamim almost apologetically says we are going to have to review it, just on some miracle ground that the 3rd umpire can find a reason to give this out, because we need a breakthrough. And much as I'm totally against this form of doing a review, I know exactly why they're doing it.
Well, you were talking earlier, weren't you, about a couple of the reviews in the India-Australia game. Well, this is up there, because this won't be out, I can tell you that now. It's pitched outside leg, it's just got nothing going for it whatsoever.
That's pitched a whole set of stumps outside of leg. So not one stump, a whole set of 3. I don't even know why they've gone to look at ultra edge, because all they need to do is look at where it pitched. It cannot be out, according to the laws of cricket. Now we're finally going to get to see the pitch map. That's ridiculous. Right, moving on, everybody. And officially, it is given as not out. 3rd umpire, Shafadullah, says no. And Mustafizur goes around the wicket to Adil Rashid. That invites him to drive into the cover region. It's fielded by Mamadullah in the cover region, and there's no run. 4 needed from 14 now for England. Adil Rashid, 16 not out from 25 balls, and there's 1 ball left in this over. Rashid's just walked away to square leg, just regathered his thoughts, and now comes back and settles himself in once again. Waits, and here comes Mustafizur. It's in and around off stump, and the bottom hand whips that through to mid-on, and you can hear Alex Tudor's little exclamation of "oh!" I mean, that was absolutely Caribbean-esque or Azeruddin-esque. And come over to my side. There's no run as it goes straight to mid-on. 206 for 7, the scoreline after 48, so 12 more balls of the match for England to find 4 more runs.
It's been good, and at the end, I'm sure in the interviews they'll ask Butler how is he feeling. I just think there's always positives, and there are. You've got miles in the clock with Archer and Wood. The deals look good. Mo bowled more overs than he has previously for a while. Chris Wokes looked like he was bang on his length with the new ball early on, and then with the bat, David Malan continues to impress when asked to come up and do things. Will Jacks looked okay until he got out, and as you say, Adil Rashid with a bat as well. So there's positives with this England side, even though, as you said, they're coming off a 5 losing streak.
Yeah. Malan then waits for Shanto. Shanto around the wicket. Malan stays leg side of the ball, pushes out into the covers, and will take a single. 3 needed from 11. 207 for 7. And the other thing about it is the last games that we keep talking about were in South Africa, Bloemfontein and Kimberley. Completely different style of cricket to what we've now got here. So in terms of conditions, in terms of wickets, in terms of the whole shooting match, Shanto, that one keeps low, hits Adil Rashid on the pad. There's a big appeal from the wicket-keeper, but it's taken him outside the line, and that's why they've bailed out on it. But it kept really low. Adil Rashid was swinging that away to the leg side, at least that's what he was hoping, and almost had his back leg on the ground. Shanto's in once again. Rashid down the pitch, whipping it into the onside. All along the floor this time, and it's a ambled single. Mamadullah does the fielding. 1 to the total. 2 needed from 9 here on TalkSport 2 for England.
A lot of style and flourish in the deal on these leg side shots there, Mecca. As you said, that ball previously, keeping very low. Looked like that was the boundary to try and win the game for England, just keeping low.
Shanto around the wicket to David Malan, who hammers it wide of mid-on and away for 4. England do it with 8 balls to spare, winning by 3 wickets. And 212 for 7. David Malan, 114 not out from 145 balls. England win by 3 wickets in Mirpur. First of 3 matches, of course, so it gives you a great platform. Can still lose the series, but you could lose both of the remaining fixtures. But a cracking first start for England. 209 all out Bangladesh in 47 overs and 2 balls. Najmul Hussain Shanto, the top scorer with 58. England in reply, 212 for 7 off 48.4. David Malan, 114 not out, 8 4s and 4 6s. And Alex Tudor, we're going to have to start calling David Malan the postman, because the postman always delivers at the moment.
He does. He's been fantastic. As I said, he was a little bit scratchy to start off with, but then that went aside, and you know, from 50 to 114 red, he's been fantastic. Just the way he went about it, you know, his boundary options when he decided to go, he went. He hit that 6 over deep mid wicket when they got into his wheelhouse, and hit it downtown again with another 6. The reverse sweep, he just looked good, and that's what he does. As you said, when we talk about David Malan, we're talking about, oh, what does he get into the best 11? For me, he's got to be in and around it. Yes, you've got Brook, Root, Bairstow, Livingston and the likes to come back, but I think in these sort of conditions, he has to be in the thoughts of the captain and coach. All you can do is score runs. As a batter, your currency is scoring runs, and he does that on a regular occurrence. In 16 innings in ODI cricket, he's averaging well over 60 with 4 centuries. He's a good player, and that's what he does, and England are thankful for him. The way that he just finished it off there, powerfully hit downtown, and it was a well comprised 100 and 114 not out. Fantastic innings, as you said, and well played England here tonight.